Hello everybody and welcome to Time Capsule, right here on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. It is the show where we travel back in time to your favorite years in gaming and showcase awesome speedruns of games released in the same year. I'm your host, Smooth Operative. Tonight we are taking another look at Y2K with a speedrun of Crash Bash and later Spider-Man 2000. But first, let's cover a few announcements because you know we got to get that done. First off, SGDQ 2023 is coming up May 28th through June 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Prize submissions are open from now until May 15th. You can go to gamesdonequick.com/prize-guide for more details on that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to press the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We love a VOD here, a good VOD, but if you're interested in watching us live, just head on over to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. We start weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now then, I am very excited to introduce to you all an incredible runner here, Elite for Crash Bash. Hi Elite, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have you. So tell us, we're doing any percent no memory manipulation. What's good with that?
Yeah, so this category, no memory manipulation, is essentially playing the game normally as fast as possible, just going all the way up until the final boss, which is Oxide. The fastest way to actually beat this game is to do some memory manipulating to where you can beat a lot of the levels just without really doing anything. And it kind of makes a lot of the levels goofy in a way, but the no memory manipulation is just basically not doing any manipulating at all.
Right on. So this is like low-key the cooler category, right?
Yeah, you get to showcase a lot more of the game, and it's a lot less just hitting X and winning by doing nothing.
All right, well let's go. Whenever you're feeling confident and ready, we are ready to start when you are.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so I will. So as you can tell, there's the good team and the bad team on the bottom. I will be using Tiny, which is on Aku's team, the good team.
Oh, okay.
And timing will actually start as soon as I'm able to move in the warp room. So I'll kind of try to give a countdown whenever we get there, but I will go ahead and select my character and we will get started.
Alrighty, sounds good.
3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, good luck.
Thank you. And first level we are going to see here is called Crash Ball, which is a ballistic stage in which there are, as you can see, 4 players playing a big game of Pong. And so the big strategies for these types of levels are you just want to score as quick as you can and try to keep all the scores as even as possible, because if one AI tends to get too far ahead of everyone else, then they will play really good when they're the last people alive. So essentially I'm going to be trying to kind of aim my shots accordingly. So right now Brio has 14, so I'm going to try to kind of get his score down a little bit. And the difficulty kind of spikes here and there with these levels because a lot of it is just random luck, but there is a lot of skill that goes into like timing your shots and reaction speeds and all that.
Yeah, well, you're doing great so far.
Yeah, definitely been playing this game a lot, especially growing up as a kid. It's one of my childhood favorites.
Oh, yeah? Did you have a favorite memory of playing this with like any of your friends or family members?
Yeah, actually, the first time I actually played this game when I was really little was with my dad, and we played through the whole story. We didn't beat it all the way because a lot of the later stages in this game that you would only see in like a full playthrough of it are extremely difficult because it picks the AI and ramps up the difficulty to almost like max, and you'd have to win 3 rounds in a row without failing once, or you have to start completely over.
Oh my gosh.
So right now it kind of gets a little chaotic when Brio doesn't want to let anything in for me.
Come on, man.
There we go, we got one.
Hey, nice, Tiny. Good job.
And so the first challenge is a trophy that you see. So essentially it's just first to 3 wins. You don't have to win 3 in a row for the trophies, but a lot of times that is the quickest to win 3 in a row and not let your opponent win. And I would say the ballistic stages are probably the longer trophy stages in the game because it's one that doesn't have a timer. It essentially is just, you keep going until someone is last alive.
So is there any strategy involved when like choosing a character? Like, does everybody choose Tiny, or is it kind of just what you prefer?
So a lot of people will choose anyone that they want, but realistically, this game kind of only has 2 really good characters, which are Tiny and Kong.
Okay.
So I would recommend using the character on the right is Koala Kong, and he would probably be better for maybe beginners, but that doesn't mean someone can't use Tiny or any other character. But Tiny and Kong just have the better stats for like every level type, versus some other characters might have like other weaker stats that kind of make it harder to use.
Okay, so the stats do come into play. That's interesting. I kind of thought maybe everyone would be on the same exact playing field, but it doesn't seem like that's the case at all.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was in error, but a lot of the stats between like characters of the same types, a lot of them actually are off by like a frame or two. Like Tiny and Kong, for example, it's kind of hard to tell without a side-by-side comparison, but Tiny actually picks up and throws crates in a later stage a little bit faster than Kong, and so if we were both pick up a crate at the same time and throw it, I would get it off before he would, so it would give me an advantage.
Right on.
And in Warp Room 1, where we're at right now, there are 4 different types of minigames, and then every Warp Room in any percent, so Warps 1 through 4, actually adds another level and another level type. And we'll be seeing those later on. But for now, in this Warp Room, there's just 4 different level types, which we'll get whenever we get to those. So the next one will be a polar stage.
So it's not totally like exactly themed. It's like you get different stages in each warp zone still.
Yeah, so they are themed. So like you will see another type of this level in the next Warp Room, and there's actually like 4 different types of ballistic stages, and there's basically 4 different types of every stage. But some of them you don't see because there is a 5th Warp Room after any percent that is only showcased in 2 other categories, which is the 200% category in this game, which is doing every single challenge, or all trophies, which is just basically beating every trophy in the game.
Are these categories that you've done in quite a while, or?
Yeah, a lot of the categories that are longer don't get ran too often because like 200% currently the record is just under 7 hours, so it's kind of a hard task to do, and when the game is constantly trying to fight against you, it makes it pretty difficult to try to do.
Gosh, yeah, I bet 7 hours. Could you do it, chat? I don't think I could.
I think the first time I actually tried to speedrun 200% in this game, I didn't do like a full playthrough speedrun. I had to do it in 2 days because it took me, I think, 20 hours.
Oh my goodness. You had to take that break in between, absolutely.
Yeah, sleep is definitely necessary.
Yes.
All right, so this is the first polar level I was talking about. It's called Polar Panic, and we're all on polar bears, and there's just, we're on a sheet of ice, and we're just trying to push each other off. And it's pretty simple.
The classic.
Yep, the classic. And for the trophy here, usually no trouble with the opponents because they actually don't know how to recover yet. If I ever go towards the edge and go into a kind of like a shaking animation, I can actually mash the square button and come back up on the ice, so that way I can recover. All right, that was a quick one.
Easy. I like Tiny's little victory.
Yeah, they all have their own. Every character actually has their own victory animation, and they have different animations per level type too, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, but in the previous one, he was kind of like putting his little hands up in the air, like whoop whoop.
Oh, okay. He got the lightning power up, so I just gotta hope nope, he got me. All right. It's all right. Stuff like that happens a lot. I mean, this wouldn't be Crash Bash without some unfortunate fails, but I mean, that's just a minor setback.
So I gotta ask. So I'm one of the people who didn't realize that Crash Bash was a thing. I know this was probably a lot of fun memories for some of you here. How would you say something like Crash Bash compares to like a Mario Party? Since that being, I think, a game that everybody kind of knows.
Yeah, so Mario Party, obviously for the most part, you're on like a board and you're traveling spaces, and there's like, and then the mini games in those are more just, to win coins and to get position and stuff. While this is more just, you got a set of levels, and a lot of them are the same level types, but you're just versing each other. So this is almost just the mini games alone, and not like the traveling on like a board game style.
The board, right? The dreaded board. I like that it's not in this. That's kind of cool.
And the gems here, so gem types, because this is the first gem I'm doing, they actually give you a score or a time handicap, as well as the AI difficulty ramps up quite a bit. And so in normal levels, you'll get a minute 30 to do every level. And in this, we actually only got a minute, as well as the difficulty for the AI is increased. I'm going to try to get this weight temporary here. But ooh, that was close. All right. Hold through, though.
Nice.
So we won't be seeing any gems or crystals in the ballistic stages because those are the slowest stages in the game. And so we want to pick the fastest gems and crystals to do for any percent because we only need 15 gems and 12 crystals and not all 22.
That's like the base to get to the last like warp room.
Yep, the final boss oxide. Yep.
So it's still similar, I guess, to previous Crash games where you have to like collect a certain amount of things to get to whatever the next area is. So that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, and so for this crystal challenge, so all the crystal challenges really do is, again, the AI difficulty goes up a little bit, but then the game just throws a random gimmick at you. And in this case, the satellite that normally spawns items, it's got a white lightning effect to it. And so if I touch that at all, I'm immediately get fried and I'm immobilized. And it kind of chases me around. And so I got to be careful not to get hit by that. And there we go. So that is all Polar Panic done. All right, and then the next stage we face is Pogo Painter, which is, as it states, a pogo stage where in this one we basically hop around on a pogo stick and paint the boards with our color, in which case we're yellow. And then anytime you get a box, it'll add up how many tiles you have lit up on the board and give you that many points. Then there's missiles to shoot each other with, shoes to make you go faster, and arrows that spawn occasionally that will let you paint a whole row your color to get more points.
Oh, this looks like a real fun one.
Yeah, this type of level is definitely fun to play with a bunch of friends, but I would say everyone's favorite level to play against each other would probably be the polar levels. And one thing to note for these pogo stages that I feel like not many people know is Rillaru, the monkey character. I would assume it was by accident, but the developers actually programmed him to actually hop a frame faster per hop than any other character in the game. Everyone else has the same speed, but Rilla actually is faster than anybody else.
I take it was an intentional programming thing?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I guess we have to assume.
This is the first time, it's the first time he's been introduced into a Crash game, but it's kind of weird that he's the only character that has this advantage, and I feel like a lot of people really get frustrated with it when you get to the relics, because right now, they don't really react to boxes right away, but there's relics that you get in later games where they are at their hardest difficulty, and when he moves a frame faster, that's all it takes sometimes to beat you to a box.
Tiny wins.
These are Tiny's boxes now.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of times for these levels, this trophy is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So a lot of times it's just kind of fun to go for a high score.
So they're just bonus points.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Right
you don't really need more than 150 points realistically to beat them in this trophy. But in the other pogo stages, like Warp Room 3 and 4, you definitely want to be at your best at all times because it gets really rough.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, and I will note that for pogo levels, it's not a huge time loss, but if you were to score 20 or more points right at the last second when it hits 0, it actually won't go into your victory animation until it's done counting your score. So you do actually lose time from that. So a lot of times, I won't really try to get a box at the last second unless I actually need it to win. But
oh, right, you don't want to do more than you have to, so you don't mess it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do any of you remember the pogo stick? Was it something that you did, outdoor activity? Because I kind of remember it being fun.
Yeah, I've used the pogo as a kid. I haven't done it in a while, but I remember it being really fun. Just, I did it more at night with a bunch of friends, which probably wasn't the smartest, but yeah, jumping around a
What?
pogo stick is just a fun time.
That sounds so fun. You know, summer's coming up. We should bring it back, friends. We should bring back the pogo stick. Just have fun.
I mean, I would agree.
Thank you, Elite. Thank you.
Three, two, one, go.
So, Elite, while we're still like pogoing around, I'm kind of curious, like, how long have you been running Crash Bash, and what is it that kind of got you interested in the speedrun specifically?
Yeah, so I've been speedrunning this for about 3 years. I think it's a little less than 3 years, but I did speedrun this game just kind of on my own with just a phone stopwatch more than anything before I took it seriously with streaming it. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I watched, some people doing GDQ events, and it was, Mario related stuff that got me into speedrunning. And I just thought to myself, what games did I play as a kid that I think would be fun to speedrun? And this was the first one that came to my mind, as well as there's a Tetris game that I speedrun as well that was also on the PS1. But yeah, as soon as I thought of speedrunning this game, I thought it was going to be the easiest thing ever because I played it a lot as a kid, and I learned the hard way it was not anywhere close to easy.
Oh my gosh. Do you feel like now that you have, experience with the run, that it has changed your outlook at all on the game, like from when you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Speedrunning this game, and with the help with like a lot of people in like the Crash Bandicoot community that like worked with this game, like you realize so much that is like hidden beneath the game. Like there's so many like the AI difficulty spikes, in some levels it's well hidden, and like the health bars will be a lot, they'll be able to take a lot more damage than you think. And you would think it's just like, for example, this gem here, like in the pogo stages is actually a score handicap, not a time. Well, it is a time handicap as well, but now instead of counting up, we're actually counting down. So I have to try to score 80 points before the time runs out, or before they score 60 points. And these levels can be a little frustrating because it does rely a little bit on like getting boxes and shoes and arrows. And so far I'm getting pretty lucky with all the spawns here, which is nice.
Have you played it in a while, like just casually with friends or anything like that? Or it's like strictly speed runs lately?
It's mainly just speed running, and that in a speed run would be one of the better times you could get. I am actually really happy with that.
Nice.
25-second time.
Wow, 35 seconds. Yeah, hey, good job. We had someone in the chat ask if the Tetris game was Tetris Plus.
Yes, that is the one. Yep.
There we go. All right. you're speaking to Richard Soul today with Crash Bash and Tetris. I think that's fun.
That is funny. Yeah, I mean, both of those games are the ones that I played the most as a kid, for at least PS1 games.
Nice.
And so this level is the first crate level that I mentioned earlier, where essentially all we're doing is crates will fall and spawn from the sky, and we just have to kind of throw them at each other, and last one standing wins. And these ones are definitely really fun, I would say. A lot goes into these mini games, and you see Kong taunting, thinking he's funny.
Don't mess with Tiny Man.
You can taunt in this too. It's definitely funny to do. I mean, as a speedrunner, you don't really want to taunt too much, but I mean, you got to have fun with the game. I mean, you can't take it too seriously every time you play it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great outlook, because I've seen so many people, get a little hard on themselves, down on themselves when something's not working out just right. And I think as long as you keep a positive attitude and you're still having fun with the game that you're running, then, that's all that matters.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of times where I'll strictly just speedrun this game, but with how, whenever you optimize a game, the more you PB, the harder it gets to get those PBs. And so then at that point, I feel like you just have to do casual runs,
Yeah.
Then you'll still be having fun with it.
Or take a break, So it's okay to take a break sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not only 2 games released ever. There's so many different games to try.
Oh, yeah? Have you been playing anything else casually, like besides speedrunning, like in your free time?
I would say as of late, mainly just Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. Oh man, are y'all still playing that? Fall Guys. All right.
Yeah, they actually are coming out with a cool update tomorrow. As far as I'm aware, it looks like it's related to being able to create your own levels. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out because, I mean, that's like a dream come true, being able to create your own levels.
That's so fun. Yeah, there's a lot of games like that. Just letting your creativity shine. I love it.
Exactly. All right, and in this gem challenge, so we only get 45 seconds to defeat our opponents here. But again, one thing that you don't really tell is they actually have more health than they did in the trophy. And the only way you'd really be able to tell that is if you took like the same type of crate in the trophy and the gem and threw it at somebody, and you could see that their health doesn't go down the same amount. So they actually can take more damage than normal, or in better terms, like they're more resistant to the same type of damage in like the gems and crystals.
I think that's one of the funnier mini games. You're just like throwing the boxes in everyone's face.
Yep.
Take it.
And so this crystal challenge, so this one again, so the crystals are always just throwing a gimmick at you. And so one cool thing about the crystals that I like is they actually give you a different background. But one thing you're noticing is, where the heck are these nitros coming from? And why are they only going for me? That's the gimmick for this one, is it just only throws nitros at you, and it kind of really puts you in a panic really fast if you don't do a lot of damage to your opponents. But it is kind of a fun little gimmick, I would say.
I'd be like a deer caught in the headlights, not being able to move.
All right, but that is the last challenge we're going to do in Warp 1, and now we get to face Papu, first boss.
Oh, boss time. Let's go.
And so since I'm on the good team, so normally in a speedrun, you never ever get to see the cutscenes, which I already have just skipped over now. But essentially, Aku will talk to you and say, like, well done, you've completed the challenges in this warp room. And then it says, to progress to the next one, you have to face off against the mighty Papu Papu.
So if you're playing on the opposite like team, do the bosses change?
Oh, the bosses don't change, but
Okay.
you do get different cutscenes, because if you're playing on the evil team, you're actually playing for Team Evil, which is represented by Uka Uka.
Okay.
And so his plan is kind of to take over and rule the earth, while Uka on my team, the lore behind it essentially is
The deep lore.
The deep lore is Uka Uka and Aku, they're brothers, and so they're trying to see whether the good side or the evil side is better. And they can't fight directly because, as it states in the intro, the ancients will not allow it.
Oh.
And so they form up a team of 4 evil, 4 good characters. And for Aku's side, we're essentially collecting crystals and progressing through the they call it a tournament. It's adventure mode, but they're calling it like a big tournament to try to like save or rule the world.
Oh my goodness. It's like Mortal Kombat in this game.
Yep.
That's funny. I don't know why I didn't realize that they were brothers. How did I not know that?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, other than Crash Bandicoot 3, like the ending where they're kind of fighting, you don't really see them together too often.
Yeah, that's what I remember the most, is just the spinning of that last fight in Crash Bandicoot 3. Like,
Yep. And so this ballistic stage, as you can tell, so Warp Room 2, like I had mentioned earlier, so it takes the same types of levels and just, adds a new fresh look to it. Another gimmick is added. So now we're able to actually kind of hold on to these pinballs, and we can actually fire them, which, speeds them up, because otherwise they travel super slow.
someone had a fun question in chat. How did Tiny wind up on the good team?
So originally what happened, I'll keep going with the lore, because, they were trying to fight and they had to form a team, because they figured that since they can't fight directly because the ancients, won't allow it, they decided that they would have like a tournament, fighting style, and they would form teams together. Well,
Okay.
Aku, got Crash and Coco on his team, but Uka decided to get Cortex, Brio, Tiny, Kong, Dingo, and Rilla. So it was a 6 versus 2, and Uka said, that's not fair. If you really think evil is better, you have to be fair and give me 2 of your players. And so Uka let Aku choose, in which he chose Tiny and Dingo to be good characters.
Oh, so it was
But they
kind of
were
like
originally
drafted.
evil.
They were drafted. Interesting.
Mhm.
So they're on the good team, but they still want to be bad.
Yep.
That's cool.
Tiny
Yeah, I would say beach ball. It's a very slow ballistic games, but if you're really good at aiming your shots, it makes it to be really fun, in my opinion. And a lot of people don't like this game because it's very slow, and I would agree it's the slowest ballistic stage of the four, but I genuinely like it because I think a lot of skill goes into it.
It's like a four-person Pong kind of situation, or I guess maybe like a pinball. I don't know. Do y'all play pinball?
Yeah, I actually have played pinball because there's a bowling alley that I do league at, and they actually have pinball machines there, so I'll do that every so often.
Oh wow, you're doing league? How's that?
Oh, it's only really in the winter, but I did pretty well the last this last year. I didn't do the best, but I just go to have fun. It's always a fun atmosphere to be in.
Well, the next time the league rolls around, you got to channel that tiny energy and do some incredible things out there. I believe in you.
Exactly. One thing to mention for this game is there is obviously we're doing one player, but they actually do have a two-player adventure mode. So you can actually speedrun this game with two players. And the funny but kind of annoying thing is if you're doing a two-player speedrun, especially for these ballistic stages, it actually puts player two on the right side, which is very awkward to deal with.
Oh yeah, that sounds very awkward.
Yeah, because a lot of times I will end up scoring on my teammate and he'll end up scoring on me, and we just laugh about it, and there's nothing we can do about it.
That's too funny.
I still have yet to have one day I want to have a four-person showdown for like these types of stages, because I can't imagine trying to play on the top. That just sounds terrible.
Oh yeah, no, it's when you're used to playing on one side of the map and then suddenly it changes on you, I can totally understand that throwing you completely off.
Yeah. Another thing I haven't mentioned about the ballistic stages yet is you are able to taunt, which you see me doing quite a bit. And there's no, I guess, real positive thing of doing it, because the one way to look at it is every input you do in this game manipulates what the AI does. It's just, as a human, we're not able to travel back in time and, find out which manipulation works best. And so a lot of times I taunt because there are situations where the opponents will pick up a ball with the magnet ability and then they won't let it go, and they'll just let it, disappear, and it travels really slowly. But if you fire them, they travel really fast. So the taunting is more to try to get them to keep, the game rolling fast.
Oh, that makes sense. And it's kind of funny too.
Yeah, there has been a few tasks made of this game, and I mean basically when you make a task on Crash Bash, as I've been told, you might taunt on one frame and then you might taunt on a different frame, and on one frame they might let a ball in and on another frame they might block it. So it's a long, lengthy process of pick your frames.
So there's a lot of RNG in this, correct?
Yep, there is quite a bit. Yep.
Have you found it like you kind of, even though it's RNG, you kind of pick up on certain patterns from like specific?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, yeah, from specific NPCs.
Yeah, because like the polar stages especially, like there's so many different situations where there's a couple of patterns where if one opponent, specifically player 4, does something specific, I normally can take advantage of it, or I know what the next move would be.
That's really impressive, like picking up on stuff like that. And I am gonna guess that it's just from the sheer amount of like hours that you have put into this game. So that's really, really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so this is the next polar level. Called, so right there, so Rilla going for me immediately, that's one of those things where if he doesn't do that, then I don't get like a 1 second kill on him. So that would be one of those like situations where kind of like RNG, but if he does that specific pattern, I normally can get an insta kill on him. See right there, he didn't do it. Right. Yeah, and this stage also features a walrus that likes to tilt the stage and kind of make the momentum a little wonky.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay.
Tiny wins.
Yeah, the trophy again for this polar stage is, pretty straightforward. They do get a little more aggressive, and they actually do gain the ability to recover if you don't like get a good enough push on them. So it is a little more challenging, but again, compared to the gem and crystal, that trophy is still pretty easy. So in this gem challenge, we actually only get 30 seconds, as well as the opponents do get really difficult. You do have to kind of play really well to be able to kill them, which kind of easiest way to do it would either be using items or kind of tech, which we would consider counter pushing, where you want your opponent to push mere frames before you push, so that way, you push them off the edge when they're in their pushing animation, which, like right there, cancels their ability to recover.
Now the little thing is back and it's hovering, but it doesn't look like lightning this time. What's going on out there?
Yeah, so it actually turns back into a normal, like it kind of just dishes out items again, like normal. Because the Polar Panic crystal was when it kind of changed into that white lightning, but we actually don't see that in this crystal. The next crystal for this Tilt Panic is actually pretty brutal. The ice kind of moves and shakes really rapidly, which throws off everyone's momentum, and it kind of makes this challenge, like, especially for like when we're kids, or like even now, I mean, for a lot of people, it's just really tough.
So are you using like the PlayStation controller for this?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, usually I use the D-pad for the most part. There are some levels I might use the analog, but...
Oh yeah, that would have been my next question. Like, are you using the D-pad, or do you have analog available to you? So I guess it sounds situational.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I find it easier to use the D-pad for the... oh, that was a little lucky. For the polar levels. Oh, that was okay. Not bad.
Tiny is once again victorious.
That could have been much worse, so I will definitely take that. That is one of the harder crystals. I think that's probably what I would consider the hardest crystal that you first face in any percent. Like, I'd say probably the first, like, really roadblock in the run.
3, 2, 1, go!
And now we get to go to Pogo A Go-Go, which actually has no boxes. It uses a completely different scoring mechanic where all you have to do is make any sort of enclosed shape. So squares, rectangles, any kind of shape. And funny enough, I didn't know this as a kid, but you can actually use the same color walls as your color to make your shape.
Oh,
so,
wow.
A lot of, a funny way to score that a lot of people probably would get a good kick out of is you can actually get so many different, like 4 points. You just use the corners.
Because it kind of hangs out there, the color, for like a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. So right here with shoes, like this is just a funny way to just four.
Oh, those are the strats.
Yep.
Y'all have to remember that one for the next time you get together with your friends.
Yep.
Play it.
And as you can see, the AI, they were stuck for a second, all 3 of them. That was kind of funny.
Oh my goodness.
I would say this is probably a pogo level where the AI, they don't always know how to score. They sometimes will go off, and other times they might not even score a single point in the whole minute 30. It's just kind of one of those mini games where they thought of the idea, and it probably, I mean, to me, it's a really fun mini game, but it just didn't work well for the opponents to code well.
Right.
I can't imagine trying to code like making someone make a shape. At least with trying to get a purple box, like that's pretty simple. You just step on a box. But as you can see, this level really doesn't pose too much of a threat, at least in the trophy. But the gem and crystal are pretty brutal, which I am only doing the gem for any percent. But I can go over kind of the crystal. The crystal is kind of a fun challenge. If anyone ever does this crystal challenge, it's not getting the most points, it's whoever can get the most points in one shape. So, right now I just got 13 points. So instead of it adding to my score, it'd make my score at 13. And so if someone were to score like 20 points at once, then they would have 20. So the crystal can be kind of annoying because, it's not the easiest to score a lot of points sometimes. Thankfully, we don't have to do that crystal in any percent.
That's nice, yeah.
One thing you can do in this specific minigame, though, is usually the opponents don't cooperate, but you can actually go all the way around the board and usually get anywhere from 61 to 64 points in one go. don't know if I'll be able to showcase it, but if I get high enough points up, I might go for it because it is kind of one of those like swag things to do if you can pull it off.
Listen, if you can attempt the swag strat and you want to, you go for it.
Exactly. It's easier to do with a pair of shoes. I might have to wait till next round. It could happen, maybe. Okay, it won't happen this round. That's alright, though. Alright, again, 160 points is all that I needed to get that round 1. Kong did break 100, though.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, in this minigame, I didn't mention it does have a new power-up, which is that lightning power-up, which kind of sends a whole shock down the row, and anyone that's in this path will get stunned for a couple seconds. As well as the rockets in this level, instead of it being a one-way rocket, if you pick it up, it actually fires all 4 directions.
So these mini games, while some of them are, I guess, like the same, it seems like they're getting kind of progressively evolved harder, like in their own mini game category.
Oh, exactly, yeah. And like the next pogo stage is probably the hardest one in the game, just because of I don't like. It's hard to tell like what the intentions of the developers were because you don't know if they intended to make things harder than they were, or if they just accidentally did it. But the AI difficulty is almost at maximum for that pogo stage, and it's not even the final warp room yet.
That's wild. That's so wild.
Yeah. Oh, he's got 48. That's not quite all the way around, but got one last chance. Nope, can't quite do it. All right. 48 is still quite a lot to get in one go.
Tiny wins.
All right, and then I do end up doing Pogo A Go Go Gem. And one funny thing to mention about this gem is they actually did come out with a Crash Bash demo that was on like a winter jam pack before the game actually released. And in the Pogo A Go Go Gem in the demo, it actually had you having 120 points. But I guess the developers thought, that's too easy. The player needs a more challenging time. So they set it to 150, which, 60-point difference is extremely large, considering they only need to get 90 points. And a lot of times there's a lot of fails that happen in this stage because of that. But if you get enough shoes, it definitely makes it a lot easier.
Now, this is a little bit obscure, but does anybody like speedrun the demo, or that's not a thing?
I don't know if that's a thing. I feel like someone might have done it for fun, but I don't know if it was really like recorded as far as like the time it took.
I'm like, reaching at nothing here. I thought maybe.
I feel like it's probably been done before. I just don't think it's really like done by more than maybe 1 or 2 people.
That's fair. It's probably hard to get a hold of too, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
some of the demo discs of old.
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise, I know the Spyro 3 game, there's the batch demo on that disc as well.
Right on.
2, 1.
Alright, so now we get the Space Bash, which I think most people would say is their favorite crate stage, because the gimmick, as you can tell, that's different, is all explosions that hit the ground create a hole, which can create a lot of fun and madness at the same time. Alright, cool.
Tiny wins. Three, 2, 1, go.
Oh, that was really quick.
Tiny wins.
I seriously think
speedrunning
Tiny's gonna be my new victory pose. Like anytime I get a win, like in real life, I'm just
Yeah,
watching him.
I really like his victory animations. They're really funny. It's like Cortex has a good one as well. He kind of just like dances around side to side on these crate levels when he wins.
Now, I had a question for you, Elite. A couple of our friends in the chat mentioned how they'd like to see maybe a remake of Crash Bash. With all the, Crash Bandicoot glow ups and everything that has happened over the few years, do you think that this is something they could accomplish with Crash Bash and still make it feel like iconic?
I feel like it could be done. This game came out in 2000, so 23 years ago. About not quite, because it did come out, late 2000 in November. But,
November, yeah.
I would say that it can be done, but it hasn't been done in so long. It almost feels like they aren't going to do it. But I feel like you can make this game, with its original iconicness, and you can still, add, like you said, like the newer stuff that's being developed for like newer Crash games, and keep it still like modern in a way.
So if they did something like that, you'd absolutely play it.
Oh, absolutely! I would play it a lot.
Cool.
I just walked into a hole there on accident.
These things happen sometimes.
Yeah, I think what happened was so sometimes the camera, it kind of tries to keep up with all the action. I think what happened there was a TNT that was kind of ignited, so it was probably doing the countdown, and the camera was kind of up, and I don't think I saw the countdown happening, and I just kind of walked when it exploded, but that's all right. All right, so now we're going to do Space Bash Crystal, and so for a lot of the Crash Bash community, there is a fun, just a really fun thing you can do in this crystal that was discovered a while ago. So you can actually win this crystal without moving a single muscle and without doing a single input. So for the first attempt here, I'm not going to do anything and see if we win. If we don't, I'm going to play it normally the second attempt. So we'll see if fate will let us win.
Do you sometimes like just step away from the computer at this stage and like hope for the best?
Not in an actual speedrun, but we actually do some of these events sometimes where we'll host like a race for fun, like maybe try to get 10 of these wins, without moving. Because sometimes it can take up to an hour because, again, they're just doing their own thing and we're doing our own not thing.
I gotcha. Would you say that the Crash Bash community is like pretty tight knit?
Yeah, I would say we all definitely get along pretty well, and
nice.
We're always helpful to each other, and so like I know I got a lot of help when I first started speedrunning this game with like tips to be better at some levels, and just developing new strats. Like there was a new strat found out this year with the help of another Crash Bash community member that made one of the bosses a little bit faster.
Nice, yeah. It's amazing to me to see like new strats and stuff coming out for games. Like you said, this game is 23 years old now. It's like it's just incredible that people are still managing to find things.
Exactly. We just need him to take a little bit more damage. He's so close. I really want to get this win, but I'm only going to do it one time because I don't want to waste too much time on this. But I figured I'd at least showcase it because you can win this crystal without doing any movement.
Come on,
it appears
guy.
He's not going to jump in the hole.
Ah,
we were close.
He thought about it.
Yeah, he did think about it. But yeah, the gimmick in this crystal though is you cannot pick up any TNTs. If you watch the speedrun, you probably don't realize that because you might just ask like, why is this guy not picking up the crates? Is he just better than that? But really, I wish I could pick up the crates. It makes this level so much harder to not pick up a crate. There we go. He just walked off. Okay, cool. I feel like a lot of games where people come up with like the the classic Luigi does, wins without doing anything. So like that's kind of the Mario Party style of, Tiny does, winning without doing anything.
Tiny's favored. It's his secret favorite from the devs.
Exactly. And so so this is Warp 2, so we actually do get to see a new minigame type like I mentioned earlier. So these are tank levels. And again, so if you use Tiny or Kong, they actually have the strongest shot compared to everyone else. And funny enough, all 6 other characters do the same amount of damage, and then Tiny and Kong, do the most. So it's kind of a weird, decision with that, but the other 6 characters have different shot types as well. As you can tell, Rilla can shoot 2 different shots, and they're kind of semi-fast, and Brio shoots a really fast shot, and Kong is the same as me. And then we also have the ability to lay mines, which is pretty neat too. And a strat that you might see more later on is it actually is less damage to shoot against the wall and kind of hit yourself than if you take a shot from an opponent. And especially when the levels get really difficult, you really need those extra, hits, because whenever you take damage, your character actually kind of blinks a little bit, and so they actually have invulnerable frames. So you actually can't take damage when that happens, which is nice. But the opponents have the same thing where we call them I-frames or invincibility frames. But
so that's a strat, like just hitting yourself pretty much before someone else does.
Exactly, because you'll always do less damage to yourself than they will do to you.
That's clever. I like that.
And that does come in handy in a later stage as well, because some of these crystal gimmicks are really difficult to deal with. And so if you don't use that strat, it's really, really tough. So this gem, again, we only get 40 seconds, but again, one of those hidden buffs that goes unnoticed for the most part is they actually have more health. Because normally you're able to shoot any of them with your shot type 3 times and they will die. In this case, it takes 4 of your shots because they actually have a little more HP. Just one of those things where the game doesn't tell you that they have more health, they just do. Okay, that was easy enough. Kind of was running low on HP there, but we're good.
Yeah, you came in clutch with the win there at the end. Very nice.
All right, now the gimmick for this crystal. This one's kind of annoying, but there are some strats involved in it. So in the middle of the arena, you'll notice instead of it being a solid wall, it's kind of like a little water pit. And funny enough, you can shoot your shot through that in some areas, but there's actually a little submarine guy that pops up, as you can tell right now, and he focuses on you and throws bombs at you, which is kind of annoying. But it's one of those things where if you stay in a far corner, you can actually not take damage from it.
It just doesn't go that far?
Yeah, it just doesn't reach that far, which is nice. Because you have to avoid that wall, you got everyone chasing you down, which is kind of hard to deal with. Yeah, these types of crystals get pretty difficult pretty fast because with the opponents being able to do a lot of damage to you.
Now, does the sub focus on any of the other characters or just you?
It actually only focuses on you. A lot of these crystal gimmicks are only for the player, unfortunately, so it does make it really difficult.
They punish you a little bit for playing the game single player.
Exactly, yep. And another thing is, so on top of them taking less damage, they actually do more damage to you as well. So there's like so many different handicaps that are happening that a lot of people are probably unaware, and it's really difficult to deal with. Because normally if you just look at the instructions, it just says, avoid the thing in the middle, but it doesn't say, you take more damage and they take less damage. It's just kind of, you just have to know that. There we go. Sometimes those levels take a couple tries because, if you get cornered too fast or, if everyone's targeting you too much, then there's really nothing you can do about it. But that is the last level we're doing in Warp 2 before the next boss, which is Bearminator. And again, we are skipping a cutscene, but if you didn't skip it, it'd be Octo again saying, you're doing very well. There's more challenges ahead. And then it says, show you're worthy. And instead of it, the level name is called Bearminator, which is obviously that big bear kind of firing his robotic minions at us. But he kind of just says you have to defeat the mechanical bears, which is what he's firing at us. And every time you progress through a round, he destroys a chunk of the ice. And unlike the normal smooth edges, you can actually recover if you go into that, and you'll actually... Oh, that's unfortunate. I'll showcase that in the third phase, because there is a new strat that was developed, a few years ago, which makes this level really nice. Because this level, I feel like, gives a lot of newcomers, really big struggles and kind of probably turns a lot of people away from the game because of how difficult this boss can be sometimes. But like essentially what I was talking about, so right here you can go into that little recovery animation and you can get out of it. But if you touch that section that he just destroyed there, you actually don't get a chance to recover. You just automatically fail. And every phase he throws a new set of robotic bears at us. And so this phase has 2 and next phase will have 3. And we also have another chunk he's taking out of the arena for us too. We gotta be very careful. But if all goes well, I'll showcase the strat that I was talking about. Let's see. This should work, yeah. Okay, so right here, normally you take out 2 of them. And then if you let him kind of push you, you can recover and then push him while you're recovering. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of a little cheeky way to push them away from you while you're not really pushing them.
Kind of like a fake out. That's good.
Yeah, it makes that fight a little easier, which is nice.
Right on.
Especially that third phase. That third phase definitely caused a lot of trouble for some people, especially if it's their first time playing.
Well, good job on that one. Nice, nice.
All right, we're in the third warp room, and I mean, you feel like this would be halfway, but every warp room does add another level. So the first warp room had 4 levels, and then warp 2 had 5. This one has 6, and then warp 4 has 7 different levels. So it gets longer and longer every warp room we get, but I mean, you always start off with the same 4 level types. So again, this is the third ballistic stage we're seeing, which is what some people would consider the hardest one because engine that spawns in the middle right here kind of just fires a lot of balls at everybody and it gets pretty chaotic and stressful fast. But they also add these power-ups you can get, which is kind of like a propulsion that kind of like a reverse magnet, kind of pushes them away from you. But it doesn't always work very well because if you hit a ball at the right angle, you can go right through the ability, unfortunately.
Is the ability always active or it's just something that you get?
Yeah, so it actually spawns and it's kind of random, but it was discovered that it's like a random but not random pattern. So where it spawns first in a round is random, but then from there, it's only random if it goes up or down. And so, and so right now, I just got it on the bottom right, so it can never spawn there again before it spawns on the left side. So if I hug this wall, so I just got it again. And so it can spawn up top. So if it were to spawn up top there, it still wouldn't spawn on the right side because it always has to go on one side before it goes on the other. And then every round resets it as well. So now, since it's on the upper right corner, it doesn't mean it's going to spawn in the left corner now. It's just completely random to start again.
Okay, I feel like it's kind of hard to tell where it is. I guess there's an indication of some kind.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get used to, but like since it was in the upper right corner, a lot of people will kind of say it out loud, like, you know, like it'll either go upper left, or since it hasn't been on the bottom yet, we don't know which side it's going to be on yet. So now it just went on the right side. So it's kind of hard to remember, but now we know it's not going to spawn on the bottom right before it spawns on the bottom left. So even though it spawned up top again, it can't spawn in the bottom right corner. It'll only spawn in the bottom left corner if it spawns on the bottom.
Okay, so then you can kind of like anticipate where it might be next.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I would call like semi-controlled RNG because you kind of get the pattern to it, but it's just if it goes up or bottom, that's the part that you can't control.
Okay.
And a lot of times I probably won't take the item either because, like I said earlier, like sometimes the opponents can just hit the ball at a right angle and it just goes right through your ability and just kind of feels like, well, why did I pick this up if it doesn't do its job? Right now he has the ability, but I'm gonna try to sneak one in. Oh, not quite. Kind of hard to score on the side guys when they have the power up. There we go.
Tiny wins.
Yeah, one thing to note, so for the first ballistic stage, we actually had 15 apiece to start with, and then beach ball we had 12, and so this one actually starts us with 20 apiece, and so a lot of people might think that this is going to be the slowest minigame yet for the ballistics, but beach ball is still technically slower for the most part because of the fact that when the pinballs spawn in, they actually are at their really slow speed, while this is like really fast and chaotic.
I got a question for you now, Elite. So,
Yep.
so a lot of friends have come in the chat today. They've been excited to see Crash Bash. When you played this back in the day with like your friends and stuff, would you say that you were, kind of classy about your wins? Because I believe that you probably won every game, or were you a little bit, I don't know. Have y'all ever heard the term like a sore winner, kind of?
Yeah, I would say it kind of depends, because like as a kid, I wouldn't say I was a sore winner. Because the first time I played this game, obviously, was with my parents. My dad was first, and then my mom. But then the older I got, I introduced my one of my friends to it, and we did a lot more, co-op story mode versus just competitive stuff. But I would say once I got to high school, there was one opportunity where I had 3 friends, and we all did. We actually played. There's a polar stage in Warp 4. It's called Manic Panic, but we won't see that for a while. But we played that polar stage for probably 5 hours, and
Oh my God.
I think we were all pretty sore winners in that level, because as high schoolers, we were so competitive with each other. I mean, even though we were being sore winners, we're having like the best time of our lives. Like, I don't think I've had as much fun with Crash Bash as that time. Like,
That's funny.
It's crazy.
Good memory.
hmm All right, now we're going to move on to the third polar stage that we'll be showcasing, which is Melt Panic. And this one is one of the hardest ones, I would say, depending, like as far as the trophy, gem, and crystal combined, it's pretty difficult. Because the trophy, they're already really difficult to deal with. And as you notice, Uka is in the arena. The only downside is he doesn't give you good items. He only gives out bad items. So you actually want to stay as far away from that beacon as possible, because he will never give you a good item. Oh, wow. I got launched across the ice on that one. And he also, just as you notice, he's destroying some of the ice on the arena as well. He's kind of shrinking the arena, which is, he's doing a lot of bad things for you. Even if you play as an evil character, he's still in the arena. So it's kind of a weird concept. It would have been probably better if they would have made Aku in the middle if you're playing as an evil character, but this is just kind of Uka's arena, I guess, to cause mayhem.
The den of chaos.
Exactly.
Tiny wins.
Yeah, sometimes when you fight really hard for a win, I kind of feel like Tiny. I just want to, stick my hands up in the air, kind of like in a W.
The win.
There we go.
Tiny wins.
Yeah, Rilla is definitely the hardest opponent to deal with in these polar stages. Like if it's a 1v1, because he actually can do 2 quick pushes, while Kong does 1 big push, and so does Brio. And Brio is definitely one of the easier opponents to deal with. And that's why I use Tiny, because a lot of times if you just get next to him, if it's just you and him, one-on-one, if you get him to use his charge, he can't push again until his meter at the top goes all the way full. Because one thing to note for these polar stages is you actually do use kind of like a stamina up when you use a charge, and you have to have a minimum charge depending on your character before you can use another push. So for this gem challenge, you get 25 seconds to do it, and it's really hard to do. If you can get rid of a couple opponents like that, it makes it a little bit easier. And again, since it's me and Brio, I'm gonna get him to use the push, and then I can usually get a free push on him. There we go.
Nice.
And the crystal challenge, so Tilt Panic I had mentioned was what I would consider the hardest, like any percent crystal to face in that warp room. Well, this one is harder because the AI kind of weigh a little bit more, like they're more resistant to pushing, so it's really hard to kill them, as well as you lose the ability to recover. So if you touch the edge, even by a pixel, you automatically lose. Like you lose the ability to kind of recover yourself. And it makes it really hard because, you can't really go for somebody if they're crowded, because if there's 2 of them chasing you, if you push one of them, you're just gonna someone's gonna get you. Oh, Uka saved me. I actually would have failed if he didn't do that. Sucks that I got the power up, but I would have actually hit the edge if he didn't do that. So I kind of got a little luck on my side there.
Uka's trying to recruit you for the bad team.
Exactly. That doesn't happen too often. That's one of those things where you know you got away with one there. All right, but now we go to what I would consider the hardest pogo stage in the game, if we're just talking the trophy. Because again, the difficulty of the AI I would consider is close to like as high up as you can go. They react to like items immediately when they spawn, and you know I feel like this is probably, if someone were to say this minigame is mostly luck, this is probably the closest to like more luck than skill you can get. There's still a lot of skill involved in these pogo levels that probably go unknown as far as like positioning and you know shooting the missiles at the right moments. There's like so many different skill sets you can use, but there are some rounds that I would consider unwinnable. Like if you know get some bad luck with like where stuff is spawning, and then you know Rilla, for example, since he can move a frame faster, he could score like 120 points on you, and you might be too far behind to catch up.
Oh, right.
But they do bring back the ability from Go-Go, so I just made a shape there, and it actually filled in all of my squares within that shape, which gives me an extra, you know, I got 28 points on that. So that's a cool gimmick in this stage. They brought it back. You don't get the points immediately, but you can fill it in to kind of get more points on the board. And obviously you got Ripperoo in the background kind of going and laying TNTs everywhere, causing mayhem.
Classic Ripperoo.
Yep. Can't have a Crash game without him.
Tiny wins.
And one thing to note about this pogo stage that's kind of funny is there are some texture glitches in it. And if I remember, if I'm able to get to the top of the screen before the timer runs out, I'll showcase what I mean by that. Because for whatever reason, the game kind of freaks out and kind of overlaps images in the top corner if you do your victory animation in like the top of the screen. And then those gray tiles with the 4-way arrows on them, as it kind of states, if you step on those, it creates a color pattern for you that goes in that same like plus pattern. So like those 2 rows that are on that tile get covered in your color. So a lot of times that's pretty helpful, and it can fill in squares if it does make a shape with it. And technically in this minigame, you can go all the way around the board again, kind of like in the previous one, but you wouldn't get your points automatically. It's just really hard to do because when Ripperoo places TNTs on the floor, it actually blocks your space. So if he lays one TNT on like the edge of the board, you can't get all the way around. It'll like cut it off by one tile.
Oh, that's like just annoying enough.
Yep. And one thing to notice, it was kind of hard to, I didn't point it out fast enough, but there's kind of a little Easter egg in this pogo stage because I was in the bottom corner and I forgot about it, but you actually could see the road on the right side, which is kind of like a throwback to the driving stages in Crash 3.
Oh,
like the
yeah.
motorcycle levels.
You're right, the motorcycle levels. There were what, maybe 3 of them, I think, or 4.
Yep.
3.
I think there was, 3 or
there was
4,
like the night one, the nighttime one. Wasn't that like
the
special?
Area 51, yep.
Yeah, and then like two daytime ones or something like that.
Yep. So far, so good. It's just hard to focus with this game, like, because a lot of times you kind of have to, like, especially if you're behind, you have to focus on, like, who's got the most points, and a lot of times I'll carry a missile on me. Like, right now, like, Rillarue's the one that's in the lead. So like I might like fire a rocket at him and make sure that he's stunned for a couple seconds, because sometimes if there's a crate next to an AI, if you stun them and a different opponent gets the box, it's way more beneficial if the person in the lead's not taking all the score. I mean, unless you're in the lead, you want all the score.
Now, with Tiny, or I guess maybe just single player, are you always like the yellow little blob?
Yep. I wish you could customize the color, because I would prefer to be like Brio's color. Like I like the red color a lot.
The red, okay.
And if you're doing 2-player speedrunning or just 2 players adventure mode, player 1 is always going to be yellow, but player 2 actually is red.
Oh, okay. Have you done a 2-player run of the game?
Yep, I've done quite a few 2-player runs of this game. They come in spurts though, because the person that I do the speed runs with lives kind of a ways away from me, and so it's kind of like special occasions where I can do these 2-player runs, which it's always fun to do them.
And do you do these like live together, or it's just over the internet?
Oh, yep, we do them live together, because you can do it over the internet, but there's a lot of like like the input lag and as well as like right now I'm playing on a physical console, so I get the fastest loads as well, which helps with speedrunning.
Still though, that's cool that you have a friend that, is willing to come up and hang with you for a bit, do some speedruns. That's awesome.
Oh, exactly, yeah. It's always a fun time.
That's kind of fun. That's something to think about for those of you who might be interested in the Crash Bash speedrun. You got a buddy, local, get together. Maybe you could do a speedrun. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I will say doing 2-player speedruns is way more fun than playing by yourself.
Do you find that with the 2-player runs, like there's more unexpected surprises?
Yeah, I would say it's a little more controllable. In some cases, it's harder because like the opponent, like in this trophy, like the opponents kind of go for whoever they choose. But when you're playing 2-player, they only will go for you. So like right now, like Kong, I guess is only going for me. But they could go for whoever they want. Unless you're the only one left, then they'll obviously be targeting you.
Oh, okay. It looks like your player 2 might be here. Logic PQ. Does it ring a bell, Elite?
Yep, that is my good pal Logic PQ. He will actually be in SGDQ, and he actually will be driving down, and we will actually be doing some co-op runs of this game before he does his run at SGDQ. So that'll be a fun time. Oh,
that's fantastic. What's the run for Logic, if you know offhand?
Yeah, it's I Want to Be the Guy remastered.
Wow, okay, right on, cool. Well, I hope that y'all have fun before SGDQ and at SGDQ.
Oh, absolutely.
Tiny wins.
And I guess I haven't really talked much about this stage, but as you can tell, it's the best stage in the game because there's ice physics, and there's nothing wrong with ice physics. It's a great time. But there's a cute little penguin in the middle, so you definitely can't go wrong.
You gotta protect the cute little baby penguin.
Exactly. If anyone kicks him or throws a crate at him, he gets mad and starts going berserk and spinning around and sending crates flying. And the AI tend to like to do that for some reason. Sometimes the player will do it because, if the penguin is spinning crates around, it has a high chance to do a lot of damage to the opponents. Because especially in this gem, you only have 40 seconds to beat it, and it's pretty difficult. This is not looking too good right now. Because one thing that's hard about these challenges is making sure that everyone's taking damage. Because right now, Brio's kind of going strong right now. Oh, the penguin came in clutch. Holy crap. I will gladly take that. I totally planned that.
Everything is working as intended.
Exactly. All right, now this crystal challenge is for new players. It's super annoying because basically the instructions say you get handicapped shoes, so you slide all over the place and it's hard to move. And so one thing you'll see me doing a lot is jumping, and And no, I'm not having a good time. I mean, I'm having a good time, but I'm not excited jumping all over the place. I'm doing it to actually control my movement, because otherwise you slide all over the place and it's so hard to control what you're doing.
Oh, that makes sense, because it's like a slippery level.
Yeah, because as you can tell, like I'm holding right and I'm kind of like moonwalking. So yeah, it's doing jump kind of makes it to where you can control your movement a little bit better.
Those are the strats.
There we go. So that was the third crate stage, and so now, again, we ended Warp 2 with the first tank stage. It was the new level introduced, and so at the end of every warp room before a boss fight, there's always a new type of level introduced. And so, again, now we get to our second tank stage, which is called Metal Fox. And a cool thing to point out is, so this tank stage is actually slightly bigger than the previous stage. So like, as you can tell, my character kind of spawns a little, like his character model is a little off screen, so you can already tell that it's slightly bigger. And there's walls that are moving, kind of forcing you to only travel in certain spots, as well as there's, Wumpa that spawns, there's mine power-ups that are spawning, and then there's also a new bomb power-up that's spawning. And that was a quick round. I didn't even get to showcase the bomb yet, but
gosh, yeah, that was.
The bombs, if you get them, they take over your current attack, which can be a bad thing at times, but you do a lot of damage. I believe it's identical, if not close to identical, to a mine, but you're launching a kind of like a bomb at an AI. So it's pretty useful because it travels about, I think, 4 spaces away. And you can hurl them over these walls too, so if they're in your way.
What are they riding around in? Like little mini tanks or something?
Yeah, they're like tanks. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, it's kind of just like a tank minigame. Well, I know it's a tank because in the third cutscene for when we enter the third boss fight, even though I skip all the cutscenes, Aku does say, to prove yourself worthy, you must master the tanks. Because we actually, spoiler alert, we actually do use these tanks in the boss fight, even though we don't use our original shots. We use a different type of shot, but we are still riding in a tank. And here's the bomb power-up. So as you can tell, I just launched the bomb at Kong. That's kind of what they do. And we will be doing the gem and crystal here, although some players will choose to switch this crystal out with a crystal in Warp Room 4, because this crystal is really difficult when we get to it, and I'll explain it more when we actually enter the level. But this one is straightforward. We only have 40 seconds. Again, we take more damage than normal. The AI take less damage than normal, so we have to play kind of strategically. And unfortunately, Rilla shot Brio there, so he didn't take any damage from that bomb I had launched at him. As well as Brio got a little bit of Wumpa there, and Rilla got some Wumpa there. Not looking too good, but
oh my gosh, everybody's eating the Wumpa.
There's a lot that goes on with these levels, but still okay. But yeah, the crystal challenge is, it takes the fact that you do less damage to the opponents and you take more damage, but it escalates that even more. So now you're taking slightly more damage and they're taking slightly less damage, as well as if you get shot, like anytime you're immobilized for like 1 to 2 seconds, whether you get shot or you just choose not to move, it spawns mines from the sky. And if you take any sort of mine damage, whether it's from the sky or just an explosion, it's an insta fail. You can't take any explosive damage at all, as in the mines.
Is it hard to react to those when they happen?
Yeah, although there is some bypassing. So if a mine is about to blow up and you're in its path, you can actually shoot a wall and take a little bit of damage from yourself. And like right here, for example, I can shoot myself, and I kind of just took care of that mine, so that way I didn't have to worry about it blowing up.
Okay, so these strats kind of carry through to the different levels like this as well.
Exactly, yep.
Nice.
Rilla's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. Okay. But yeah, that is one of the tougher crystals, especially for these tank stages. Okay, and now we actually get to see a new type of level, which is called dot dash. And essentially in this type of level, it's a funny little gimmick where we're on a circular track and we're in these kind of like little hovering go-karts, and you just have to finish 10 laps as fast as possible. And in these trophy runs, I'm going to be trying to go for what we call a lap skip. And so if you collide with an opponent in such a way right at the finish line, it kind of reads your position twice. And so if you do it at the right frame, it'll read your position one frame like behind the finish line and then one frame after it. So it thinks you did a full lap even though you just drove like a frame forward. And they're hard to do because it's dependent on your timing, your position, as well as what player 2 does. But if you get them, it saves about 3 to 4 seconds because you basically only have to do 9 laps instead of 10.
When the situation presents itself, do you find it easy to like get that lap skip, or it's still a little bit difficult with the frame, perfect stuff?
It's very difficult.
Okay.
I've done it enough to where I know the timing of it, and sometimes I'll be off a little bit, but I know the general timing to where I get it probably 1 in every 6, 7, maybe 8 attempts.
Okay.
So you get 4 chances at it for dot dash because you can't do it in the crystal because the track is shaped a little differently and the AI go a little faster than you, but you can do it in any of the trophy rounds and the gem. And the Wumpa you can collect, and you can that meter at the top is your Wumpa fuel, so you can boost around the track, and you can also pick up missiles and shoot them at each other as well. So it kind of makes for a fun stage. It's kind of a weird circular track, and it's actually not even perfectly circular. Kind of weird, but I'd say it's a fun mini game.
Yeah, this is fun. I like this one.
And again, Tiny's got his cool little animation he's got going on.
Every time Tiny's doing it, like I'm over here doing it.
Oh, I just got one. There we go. So I just got that lap skip. So now I went straight to 9 at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
So that'll save about 3 to 4 seconds. Even if I were to get shot or like fall off or something and lose time, it still saves 4 seconds. Because even if you fall off, you would have lost 4 extra seconds if you didn't get a lap skip. So, getting one is just really good to begin with. So can't really complain.
It seems like if you do fall off, like just me watching the other characters, it doesn't take like too long to get right back on the track.
Oh, definitely not. No, I think it's only like maybe 4 seconds, maybe 3.5, something like that.
Right. It's not like in I don't know, something like Mario Kart where the little cloud guy's dragging you out of the water and putting you back on the track.
Exactly. Yeah, wherever you go off the track in this, you come back on. So we're actually typically you spawn, I think, a frame behind where you went off, because you can technically do a lap skip in the next driving level where if you drive off like frame perfect right past the finish line, it'll put you right behind it again and it'll think you did a full lap. It's way harder to pull that lap skip off, but it's not impossible because I've done it a few times.
So you're telling us there's a chance.
I could definitely try it in the next stage, but it wouldn't really hurt to do it. Be kind of a swag thing to pull off. I'd say the best time I've ever done it was in a speed run where I would have lost PB because I was doing really bad, and I pulled off this lap skip to barely win the round, and I ended up getting a PB from it. It was actually in a level in Warp Room 5, which we won't see, but it was still one of those everyone was hyped in that moment.
That's awesome. I'd love to see a clip of that if you have it on your channel somewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely on my channel somewhere. It's an older clip because it was a while ago, but it was in the category for all trophies.
Okay, all trophies. Right on.
Right, and so for this, and one thing I didn't mention about the gem. So in the gem, I had to do 10 laps, and the AI had to do 8. So that's kind of the handicap for that stage. While in this one, the handicap is if you get shot by a missile at all, it's an auto fail. You have to redo the whole level again. So you got to be kind of careful. I would say the strat for this one is just try to keep your distance from whoever has the missile for a beginner, and then just always keep one on you and try not to use it. I say that, but there's a lot of times where I'll still use it because as a speedrunner, I try to be as fast as possible. And so sometimes I just try to get someone out of my way and then try to get another missile.
Out of my way, buddy.
And the one thing about this track that's really scary is it looks like oh, that's scary. It looks like a circle, but there are times when if you shoot a rocket at a wall, it could do a complete 180 direction change, even though, the shape of it looks like a circle, and anyone that's a science major would be very frustrated with the fact that it shouldn't be able to go completely backwards off of bouncing.
We don't talk about all the physics with it.
All right, so Big Bad Fox, the Warp Room 3 boss. And so this one is actually the Komodo Bros, and they hop into their like machinery at the beginning, as you can see here. So you have to kind of defeat their machinery, and then you get to face off against them. And at the beginning of this year, with the help of another Bash speedrunner, but he goes by the name Sly, we actually found a cool strat to where normally you would have to die 2 times intentionally because the boss is just made to be almost impossible to do first try. Same with the final boss, which is kind of a spoiler. We won't be doing that first try because you realistically have to at least fail twice for it to become easy enough to beat. The new strat is save 2 mines, as I've done so far, and then hopefully I can do the timing right, but you kind of place a mine right here at a certain time. And then if you go over to the left and get this Komodo to go into the corner, as so, the mines actually do a lot of damage to them. And so, as you can tell, if you look at their health bars when I'm shooting them, they take absolutely no damage. So the fact that they are able to take these mine damage, it makes it so I can actually kill them in 4 shots, which allows you to actually beat that boss without having to take the 2 intentional fails, which is a lot faster, about 30 seconds or more faster. And we're in the final warp room of any percent, so we get to see the 4th and final type of ballistic stage, which I personally do not like. It is a really hard ballistic stage, and the physics of this are just not there.
Ooh, yeah, this one looks complicated.
Yeah, they kind of took a square arena from the first 3 and tried to make it into an oval, and the platform also, one of the engines will occasionally fault out, and as you saw, it like tilts the arena, and it creates for some really weird physics. But sometimes the pinball will just decide to go right through you, or the propellers on the side and into your goal. So it's kind of a weird thing to have happen. It's just one of those things where you just shake your head and say, well, I couldn't have done anything about that.
Right, I could see where that would get frustrating.
Yeah, as well as since it's the final warp room, they tend to play really like at the best of their ability. So a lot of these levels take a lot longer because of the fact that they have 20 points and you're kind of having to really focus and hit everything perfectly. This is definitely the slowest ballistic minigame there is.
Somehow this particular mini game is reminding me a lot of like air hockey at the arcade or something.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, I know. I've never tried one, but I remember I've only ever really tried like an air hockey table with like 2 sides. But I have seen one with 4 sides, and I feel like that'd be really fun to try because it would essentially be like this game except instead of pinballs, that's air hockey.
Oh man, I think it would get vicious. Like when we played air hockey back in the day, like people were getting into it. There were bloody knuckles. It was intense.
Yeah, the disc kind of flies out the arena too often.
Oh yes, it flies up and then hits you. Not fun. Definitely not fun. Hands up. Tiny just won again.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, thankfully we will not be doing the gem or crystal in this because the gem and crystal are extremely rough. For those that know this game, this level has the hardest crystal ever. And to explain it, for those that don't know, so we have 20 points each here. Well, in the crystal, you get 10 each. And you're probably thinking, well, how is that harder? Well, the AI plays still pretty good. And just out of random luck, if they want to, they can pick a ball and turn it red. And if that ball touches your cart at all, you instantly fail. No matter if you have 10 points or 1 point remaining, you'll just fail.
Oh, that is annoying.
Yeah, and they don't spawn in red. They literally, the AI themselves are turning them red. And So what tends to happen with that crystal is like Kong on the right or Rilla on the left, they might hit a ball like that. Like he hit a ball right into my cart. If that would have been red, I failed. Like that's all it takes. Like there's some situations you cannot avoid.
So when it turns red, I guess you can see it, but you just don't have a lot of time to react to it.
Yeah, and you can't hit it. Like your
Oh, right.
kickability
You have to
that
get out of the way.
Exactly. Yep. And we actually do get to see the red ball showcase. It actually is in the final fight. You don't see it too much, but it does tend to poke its head in, kind of wanting to make you fail because Oxide kind of does that.
Ooh, yeah.
But at
Now,
least in the final fight, he actually spawns them. He doesn't get to turn them red himself. Doing pretty good against Rilla. It's unfortunate he had so many points remaining, but a lot of times you can't control that because they kind of have a mind of their own, and if they want to play really good, they will, and if they don't, they don't. Kong and Brio kind of missed the message about playing really difficult, which I'm glad they did, but Rilla, on the other hand, is giving me a hard time, but it's okay, we prevailed. Have one more round, and then we're done with ballistics for any percent. And one little cool thing you can do about this minigame too, for those that kind of notice, is if a ball spawns in the bottom right or bottom left of the screen, if it spawns in a certain area, you can actually time your kick right, and you can actually kick it out of the sky, like right there I just did to Brio. It's really hard to do in this stage, and it's easier to do in Embolism, but it's kind of one of those things that it just looks cool when it happens. But I definitely won't go for it too much when there's like 4 or 5 balls on the screen at the same time. Rilla once again is playing really good. I feel like I'm playing against myself or something. Sometimes I like to joke and say, like, if I'm like talking to like someone in my chat, I'll say like, "Are you controlling this character? Why is he playing so difficult right now?" I always joke around about that, like maybe someone's controlling him. He's playing really good. I'm surprised he's lasting this long. Good thing I have 15 points to lose. Okay, we're good. We don't have to lose any.
have a little bit of wiggle room there. That's always good.
Yep. All right, now we get to face the final polar stage of this warp room. So Manic Panic, the one I mentioned earlier. This one I would say is probably the best one to play with friends because it's definitely it's a nice design. I mean, the arena is nice and simple, and they're actually spawning bomb power-ups where you can actually throw a bomb at each other and get knocked off your polar bear, which I will do here. So I knocked Brio off his polar bear, so he's actually on foot now, which is kind of funny. So it takes 2 bombs to get rid of somebody, otherwise you just push them off the edge like normal. And so a strat that you'll see in speedrunning is a lot of times you'll get a bomb and you'll do what I call like a bomb push like that. So it's just an easy way because the AI have no chance to save themselves because when they get bombed, they kind of go into an animation, like a falling animation, and they can't do any inputs. And so if you do that little technique, they literally have no chance to recover at all.
Tiny wins.
And again, it does bring back the normal beacon that does spawn in. It can be good and bad power-ups, so it's like normal.
Okay, a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yep.
So what's the power-up that we're hoping for here?
If I get a power-up, I want to see a lightning power-up.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would say a weight power-up, but the lightning power-up will shock, like when it expires, it'll shock every opponent that doesn't have it. While the weight power-up, whoever has it when the timer expires will just get crushed and will fail. But a lot of times I don't end up getting the power-ups because if you get good enough luck, you can usually take care of the opponents before the power-ups even spawn in.
Right, I gotcha.
All right, but this is probably the hardest gem as far as polar levels go because the AI definitely weigh like really heavily and you can't really push them off. Like Brio and Kong you can technically push off if you do it in a weird technique. Okay, so we got a lightning power up. This is actually good. So as long as I can... Oh, that was very weird. I think Brio pushed Kong into me and then I got launched off the edge, but alright.
It's okay, yeah.
I'll just, yep, I totally did that on purpose, yep. Kind of funny when the AI missed like that. Okay, this is actually a good situation, because if I get a bomb here, you can actually kill 2 AI with 1 bomb. You can't do 3, but in that case, since they were both on foot, and they were kind of grouped up, I was able to get them both at the same time, and that's always like a big time strat for these polar levels, for Manic Panic, that is. Now the crystal. So this crystal's, it uses the same fundamentals of the bomb. And so you basically are just starting on foot. So you're at a very big disadvantage because you don't get strong pushes at all unless you neutral push, which is basically if you're not holding down any direction and you push, you kind of go farther. And so a lot of times I'll just keep doing... Oh, that's unfortunate. Those are one of those fails that you can't control because the bomb kind of spawned on top of Brio and I had nowhere to go. So it's just one of those that you just kind of have to shake off. But yeah, essentially I'm going to get these bombs and kind of do these bomb pushes because you can't really do much when you're on foot, unfortunately.
Gosh, they're not very subtle about when you mess up. Just a big fail letter.
Yeah, the game kind of lets you know that you failed.
It's like, all right, we get it.
Yeah, like if only they put like a big graphic that said you win when you win. Like they at least say you win in the gems and crystals.
Oh, but... right. Like they could just to boost the confidence a little bit.
Yeah. And we have the classic Tiny
arms up
animation. I always picture Tiny like, because in Crash 3 he's a boss and he's in a Coliseum type. I always picture him in like a Coliseum, like he just won an epic match and he's like looking into the crowd.
And just like, chilling out, eating grapes and like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Petting the lions or whatever, Alright,
so now we get to do the final Pogo level of any percent. And so this one is Pogo Padlock. And as the name suggests, there's a padlock on the arena. And if you get the padlock, it locks your tiles so no one can, step on them and paint over them. But the gimmick in this Pogo level, other than the lock power-up, is you can't step on your own squares or else it gets rid of your whole color. As well as the missiles, when you shoot each other, you actually steal each other's scores. So if I were to shoot Brio, he only has one couple on the board, but they would all turn to yellow immediately when I shot him. And I'll probably showcase that in a little bit if I can get a missile. Okay, here we go. I wonder if I can get somebody real quick. Right there, so they just all turned to yellow that Brio just had. So it's a good way to score points fast, and I would say it's definitely necessary to get through these levels pretty smoothly because otherwise it can be a pain.
This is really fun, Elite. I gotta ask chat, do you feel like you're learning like the tips and the tricks? Are you ready to take on Crash Bash again?
I would say give this game a try. It's definitely a fun game to play, even if you do it casually. It doesn't have to be a speed run.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like just casual tips and tricks, I feel like could apply just playing the game.
Exactly. I mean, as long as you have a memory card, then you can always save your game. And if you really wanted to try to get the full 200%, which would take days probably for a newcomer, I mean, it would be worth it. It would feel rewarding, even though there's no like special ending, unfortunately, for beating the whole game.
Now, are there any resources for this game? Should someone actually want to get into the speed run? Like, what's available for new players?
Definitely. Yeah, so usually people that are speedrunning, there's a page called speedrun.com, and so if you were to go to that page and then go under Crash Bash, you can use that to look at all the the PBs that anyone has submitted, as well as like what the top times would be, and there is a resource page on there, and so if anyone were to click on that, there's a link to the Discord, for Crash Bandicoot, so it'd be for any of those games, but there's a lot of resources for this game in terms of like tips and tricks and splits in case someone wants to just use pre-made splits, so that way they don't have to worry about what they're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful because sometimes live split or whatever you're using can be pretty intimidating.
Exactly, yeah. As well as, I mean, if I'm ever like playing this game like live and someone asks me a question, like I'll definitely help them to the best of my ability too, because I mean, in the Crash Bandicoot community, even for other games, not just this game, we always want to help each other out because, we're not just here for ourselves, we're obviously a community.
Yeah, I love that when the community comes together and wants to help instead of, keep all the secrets, hoard all the secrets.
Exactly. Yep.
It's like more fun with others. So I think that a lot of people can appreciate that.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people would probably say that this pogo stage kind of has a really weird, it's like a nice, like kind of jazzy, kind of nice like soundtrack to it. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of very different from the other, soundtrack for the pogo stages in this.
Yeah, that's funny because we did have a comment in chat that this song on the level was a vibe, and I guess you agree, so that's nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably vote this as like one of the top songs for Crash Bash, which I could see it. There's a lot of songs that are pretty good in this game.
Now, do you have a favorite?
I personally like there's a couple levels coming up. There's a Drain Bash, which is the next level, which is the crate stage, and then there's a Toxic Dash. Those two levels I would say have really good soundtracks to them, as well as I personally like the Beach Ball soundtrack that was from Warp 2.
Okay, so this last Warp Zone though seems like it has a lot of bangers in it.
Exactly. Yep. and a fun fact is, so this game actually is on. So this is NTSCU, so like the American version. And there actually is a Japanese version, and it's actually not called Crash Bash. It's called Crash Bandicoot Carnival. And the funny thing is, in Dot Dash, the previous racing stage it just did, as well as the final boss, funny enough, it plays kind of a Crash Bandicoot styled can theme. It's so hilarious.
Gosh,
it makes
that's
no
funny.
sense for a final boss.
So have you played it yourself, the Japanese version?
Yes. Yep. It's
nice.
hilarious because like the like if you taunt with Tiny in some stages, he says like Tanoshi. So it's like they have like different like voice actors other than Kong. For whatever reason, they didn't decide to change Kong's voice lineup.
That's fun. I feel like even just, playing like a different, it's like the same game but like a different version, it's like you can kind of enjoy it all over again.
Yep. And this is Drain Bash, so this is infamously one of the hardest levels to not fail at, I would say, or especially the gem. The gem is what I would consider the hardest gem in the game because you only get 30 seconds and the AI are usually really difficult, and you have to rely a lot on RNG because, as you can see, there's 4 purple boxes around, and so one of them has an item in it, and if you don't get it, then you're kind of at a big disadvantage because they do the most damage to everybody. So right there, Brio just got it, not me, so I'm just gonna, well, he didn't get Rilla with it, unfortunately, but anytime they get an item, I try to just put myself between them and another opponent so that way they take the damage and not me.
I think it's fun that they kind of pulled some of this level design from the previous Crash games to kind of make it, new arenas. I can't help but
absolutely.
have like flashbacks to these kind of electric sewer levels, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Because Space Bash actually had a similar like design to like Crash 3 and like the Crash 2 in those later stages. So yeah, I feel like a lot of these like designs had some influence from other games.
Yeah, that's cool. They implemented stuff like that. Keep it nostalgic, I guess.
Exactly, I agree.
Someone asked in the chat if the crates in this level do less damage than in previous crate levels.
Yes. So in these levels, I think it's only by like 1 HP or so. There is a spreadsheet in the Bash Discord somewhere in a pinned comment, but they do less damage in this trophy compared to other trophies. And then the weird thing is the gem for this that I'm doing. So you only get 30 seconds, which is really not a lot of time, but every type of damage except your melee damage does 1 extra damage. So even these like paper crates, as they're called, they do 2 damage instead of 1 like they normally do. So any type of damage you do to them is going to be really helpful to try to win. But obviously any TNT or item is going to be top priority because they do the most. Like right there, that was a huge amount of damage. And now that I got the item, this should be a easy, yep.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, because I feel like especially newcomers, like if you throw the paper crates like in the trophy at other players, they might think that it doesn't do a lot of damage, so then they might not use them in the gem when they actually do twice as much damage in the gem compared to the trophy. So if they have like a little tiny bit of HP, you definitely want to be using those crates because they definitely will help a little bit. But I still would steer to using other crates if they have a lot of health. And then the gimmick in this crystal, as I should mention, because it's probably not too apparent yet, is I'm not allowed to kick crates. If I kick a crate, it spews out like green, like kind of like a little green explosion. And I automatically fail, like I lose. So that's why I'm like only throwing crates and not kicking them, because otherwise I would just basically die right away. It's kind of like an instant loss.
Oh, they kind of punish you for, using your skills.
Exactly, yep. There we go. Alright, so that's the final crate stage that we will see. And so in the same order as Warp 1, 2, and 3. So now the first new level we saw was a tank stage. So now we actually do get to see another tank stage. So this is the third tank stage now. And again, since we're doing any percent, this is the final tank stage that we will be seeing in this run. But there is technically one other one. And this one is way different because now you're able to just free roam. There's no like walls to make you only move like left, right, up, and down. You can actually move anywhere you want, which is nice. As well as there's now missile power-ups, as Kong just used, where they do a pretty good amount of damage, same amount of damage as the mine. And if a round takes more than 25 seconds, those two Tiki statues in the middle will actually drop down one by one, and they actually do the same amount of damage as a mine also. So since I've played this game enough, I know that the first time it's going to spawn in at about like 105, 104, and it'll actually go to the bottom left. So I usually watch the timer and try to stay as far away from the left side as I can. Kind of trapped here by Kong. So there it just spawned in, and then the next one's going to spawn in the right side. So Kong could get hit by it if he goes more down. Okay. Oh, this is scary. Because I can't shoot myself either because I have not enough HP. These tank stages get pretty scary pretty fast.
It really looks like it.
3, 2, 1, go.
And now I actually get missile power up, and so hopefully Gabriel took care of Kong for me, so I was able to use the missile second one on him, so that was pretty nice. And we will be doing the gem and crystal for this one as well. And so the gem again is just another time handicap. So I believe we only get 40 seconds to do it, but again, there's that hidden AI buff that kind of goes unnoticed where they actually take less damage. Even if it is by a couple damage, it's still pretty... Oh, it's actually 30 seconds. I was wrong. So, yeah, you kind of have no time to... if you miss a couple shots, that could be it for not completing the level first try. Kind of difficult, especially if, like, Kong right now is not being targeted by anybody, so this is looking kind of bad. Although he is going to take some mine damage, which is nice. Although, if he stays away from that Wumpa, I have a good chance. Okay, good. But yeah, there's like no room for error there because that was once the timer gets to 5 seconds, it actually starts like beeping at you, so it's kind of like putting more stress on you when you get to those situations as well. And this crystal challenge, again, like all tank levels have just brutal crystal challenges, and this one is one of those where, again, as I've said, the AI just don't take that much damage. You take a lot. But now the Tiki actually spins and just launches rocks at you, and you take a lot of damage from these rocks, and it's pretty hard to avoid. There's some strats you can use, like making it lure left or right and just going the opposite direction. So like right here, if I stay on the right, it'll launch at such an angle that it can't catch up to me, and then I'll do the same on the left. But the only downside is kind of getting surrounded by the two opponents at the moment.
Yeah, they're kind of swarming you.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah, this level is one of the more difficult ones in Warp 4 as well. There's a few of them, but I'd say crystal-wise, in any percent, this is probably the harder crystal challenge. Because there's like so much you have to keep up with, as well as the fact that like the opponents don't take that much damage as compared to normal, so it's a lot less you can do.
I know, and you've got to be like paying attention to like so many different things going on. It's really impressive to watch you do this, Elite. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of because you have to watch the statue as well, or the Tiki, and then you have to, especially if you're like going around the stage, like depth perception is kind of a hard thing to get around in this game, because being at the top of the screen, it's hard to tell like where you're looking at, especially in the polar levels too. That's why I try to stay on the bottom of the screen too. All right, so this is the second racing stage, and the last one we'll see in this category, called Toxic Dash, which, as its name states, we're kind of just racing around around a track that's covered in toxic waste.
Oh man, I don't know why, but this edition of just seeing the toxic waste on the sides, so much more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, we won't be doing the Crystal Challenge since I ended up doing a different one earlier on. 'Cause this is one that normally people will do instead of a different one, like maybe a Metal Fox. But the Crystal Challenge in this, since I won't be doing it, basically, if you get knocked off the track at all and go into the slime, it gets in your engine and it slows you down pretty tremendously for like 5 to 7 seconds, and it's pretty annoying. As well as the opponents are racing pretty well, so usually if you fall off more than once, it could be all it takes for you to lose.
Ooh, yeah. Gosh, lots of support tonight in the chat. I just want to say again, thank you all so much. And, I'm really glad that we've been able to have Crash Bash on. This is so fun.
I'm having a good time.
3, 2, 1, go!
And if anyone hits those barrels, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like the same as if you were to get like shot by a missile in the previous one, where you kind of just get stunned for a couple seconds, but it doesn't really do anything too terrible other than that. But these new shockwave power-ups are kind of a doozy, because if you get knocked off the track, a lot of times the opponents will take that and just I call it getting comboed. Like if you fall off the track and then they re-knock you off, and it keeps going like in a pattern where it almost feels like you can't play the game.
It looks tricky, and also this, like the little sludge monster in the middle, it's on a timer, I guess?
Yep, it is on a timer, as well as the developers felt they didn't want to make the slime guy transparent. So when you're driving around the top of the screen, you actually can't see your guy. So if you get bumped by anybody, you can't see yourself, so it's really tricky to try to drive. I mean, unless no one's in your way, it's usually okay, but I find that he gets really, like right now, like you kind of disappear for a second.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I mentioned earlier that there is a second way to get a lap skip in these racing levels, which is you fall off the track, like frame perfectly after the finish line. You'll get reset a frame before the finish line, and it counts 2 laps. So this is the final trophy round. So in this round and the gem, I'm gonna attempt that lap skip to see if I can get it. There's a good chance I don't because it is really difficult. But if I might have just gotten it accidentally there. I just did. I cannot believe that.
Oh my goodness, it's working in your favor now.
I guess so. I just ran into a slime on accident, and because I saw that I went down a lap the same time I fell off, and then when I respawned, I went down a second lap. So we take those.
We definitely take those.
Three, two,
And this is the gem again. We get 10 laps, they get 8. It's the same as the previous one, except the previous one we only got a minute to do it, which is definitely a lot of time. This one gives you a minute 15, which these barrels can be kind of a pain, which is it's definitely helpful to get a lot of extra time. But yeah, I still think it's quite a bit of time, which is, I mean, you can't complain about extra time. I mean, some of these levels, I feel like they don't give you enough time, especially the polar ones.
Do you find that you struggle with the timer the most in the polar ones?
Absolutely. The polar ones, and then that previous gem I just did for Drain Bash, because a lot of that's, you have to do a lot of damage in a quick fashion, and 30 seconds is not a lot of time. Alright, so hopefully I'm going to try to attempt it once here. I think I'm a couple frames too far. Well, it didn't matter. Kong made sure I didn't get it. It's alright. At least I can say I got the one from the previous round.
Hands up.
And now we're approaching the final trophy of any percent before the final fight. And this mini game is called Ring Ding. And I would say this is probably one of the least liked levels in the game just because it feels like the point of the mini game is a little off. It's definitely not the worst minigame of all time. It's essentially you're popping balloons by jumping in the air. It's kind of a weird concept considering what all different types of levels we've been doing, but I mean, it's the first new type of level, which is in a category classified as medieval levels. But in this level, like there's not 4 different types of balloon popping levels. The medieval actually are the only class that just has 4 different types of like these medieval levels, which you only see in all trophies in 200%. But there's a level where you're walking around kind of hitting mushrooms with a hammer or a mallet or something, and then another where you're taking gunpowder and lighting barrels with them, and then another where you're you're on a dragon shooting gems at a dartboard.
Oh my goodness. And those are levels we're not going to see this evening?
Exactly. Yep. Those are only in the 5th warp room, which is basically after you beat Oxide, you unlock access to that 5th warp room, and then you would have to do enough gold relics, which are an item you also won't see in this run because they're not required to beat the game any percent.
Oh, those are the little onks?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, someone had brought that up earlier tonight about like how do these levels kind of compare to some of those onk levels?
Yeah, and so,
in difficulty. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and like those are definitely like really like hugely spiked in terms of difficulty because like the gold variant, you only have to win 2 rounds in a row without failing. Because if you win once and then fail, you have to win 2 more again.
I see.
And the fact that they're on like a really high difficulty, and some of the levels they still are pretty easy. Like I would say this level in all those relic challenges, they're pretty straightforward. I mean, a lot of it is more just you just got to get some items, and I would say if you keep going for these like black colored balloons, which have a few effects, some of them will paint all the balloons your color, which is nice. As you can see, Rilla had that effect happen to him, but otherwise there's some that just change the direction of the board or pop all balloons. So we really just want the one that changes them all our color like that, because then we can take any of these balloons that we want.
It's at least nice that they gave you the little marker on the bottom to know where your character kind of actually is.
Absolutely. Yeah, as well as the shadow below the balloons, because there's a lot of like depth perception that goes in this, and if they didn't have shadows under the balloons, I would probably miss a lot of these.
Oh yeah, same. Like, I mean, obviously, I haven't played the game yet, so I'm just, a innocent bystander in all this, but it does look tough, and I'm glad that they included that for you.
Exactly. Yeah, another thing that does make this level kind of challenging as well is a lot of times the AI will kind of predict where the next like black balloon will spawn, and so a lot of times you'll see, I don't know if we'll get a situation, but they might hit like 10 of them in a row within a second of each other because they like to target those the most, it looks like.
Tiny wins.
Alright, this is the final round of the final challenge before the final fight.
Let's go.
In this mini game, once I get enough points, I'll showcase it, but it has a control that there's no purpose to it other than to like taunt your opponents, which is it gives you the ability to spin with like while standing still, and it's hilarious to do. And not that many people know about it.
You gotta show off the moves, when you can.
Absolutely. Right now, Brio is doing pretty good. If I get a vacuum power up, which I just did, this should help me get a edge on Brio, hopefully. Sometimes, if one AI is targeting all the balloons and the other one's just kind of going for their own, it makes it kind of hard because sometimes they'll just go off. That's why we really rely on these those purple boxes that spawn with the power up. As you can tell, they're kind of going crazy on those balloons. Want to make sure that Brio doesn't get edge. Okay, we should be good now. So yeah, you can just taunt and just spin around for fun. All you do is hit the right or left bumper, the L2 or R2 button.
Remember that one too when you're playing in the future chat.
Yeah, if you taunt and spin like that, a lot of times the opponents will literally go after you and like try to melee you as if they're like kind of mad at you, like, why are you taunting?
3, 2, why are you spinning?
All right, so now we're in the final fight. So there's 2 phases in this. In the first phase, we have to chase Oxide and avoid all the mines all over the place. And you are able to shoot in this cart. There's a lot of things you can't shoot, as well as some things you can. So you can shoot I call them like medium-sized mines, these things, and then he also lays TNT here, or nitros, which you can shoot, but it's easier just to avoid them. And there's been so much routing done for this first phase that a lot of it can be done without shooting. And there's like little tricks and tips, like you stay in the top right corner, like he can't hit you with a missile here, and it's kind of funny.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
And one thing to mention is, again, with this boss being insanely difficult, in a speed run, especially if you're new, it is recommended to like purposely fail at least 4 to 5 times. I'm only going to be doing it twice because in a speed run, you would only want to do it twice. You can do it, without failing or only failing once, but the odds are more in your favor if you fail twice or more, because he gets progressively easier the more you fail.
3, 2, 1, go.
So again, all I'm going to be doing here is trying to let everything in, and as well as you'll see, he launches missiles at us, which is totally fair in a ballistic level, and then at some point he'll spawn in a red ball that I had mentioned earlier, which usually you try to use that to like instantly fail because that's the quickest way. So right there, that red ball. So if I touch that, which okay, I'm not able to. Oh, there we go. So that's an insta red ball from earlier that I mentioned. But now we're doing it for real.
So with this final boss, it kind of looks like you have to do multiple mini games.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You have to kind of like fly around in the first one to kind of avoid everything, and then this one is now you're just playing like a Pong, just 1v1 style, and he plays really difficult. It's really tough to beat this boss, especially if it's your first go, because you can aim everything well, but it's just up to if he wants to let things in, because a lot of it's kind of just luck dependent on if he's going to play really difficult or really easy. As well as these rockets kind of make it harder, because the rockets do a lot more damage to you than letting a ball in. So sometimes it's better to just dodge the rockets and let a ball go in, as well as these red balls get in the way.
Oh, the infamous red ball is back.
Yep. I think they spawn after a certain point, depending on how many of the regular balls either go in my goal or his goal, that's when it'll spawn a red one.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, but as you can see, this boss is very infamous for doing this, which is kind of like he's playing really good and stalling, but hopefully we can prevail. Otherwise, if we fail, then we'll get another opportunity at it, because thankfully this is the type of boss where like there's no like lives. Like if you fail so many times, it's not like it's over completely.
Right. Oh, this is intense though.
Yep. All we have to do is get eight balls into his goal, and so far we've gotten 6, so we need 2 more if I can hopefully survive without losing all my health. Kind of a close match between both of us at the moment. Hoping he plays easy eventually. Kinda. Oh, dang it.
Oh, it was close. I'm on the edge of my seat over here.
Yeah, that happens a lot in speedruns. It's definitely frustrating when that happens, but a lot of times it's like you tried your best, and sometimes he's just the better player. But again, he's also kind of cheating in the fact that he's kind of throwing missiles at you in these red balls. So I mean, at the end of the day, you can't feel too bad, because he's kind of cheating in a way.
Oh no, he's pulled out all the stops for this. Unfair.
I agree. Oh, that was close. Yeah, sometimes that'll happen where if the ball hits a corner in a certain way, it could go completely across the like bottom of your zone, and it'll just completely like crap you, and you can't escape it. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Oh, 2 went in at the same time. That'll help. So I need 3 more, it looks like. 2 more. Getting there. Hopefully this red ball's nice. Hit. Good. I'm always scared about those. Okay, 1 more. And time. There we go.
Nice. Oh, it's over now? Oh my god.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know why. I just kept expecting you to like keep going through a bunch more mini games. What an intense final battle.
Trophies or 200%, there'd be a lot more to go.
So what's happening here now? The run's over. Did the good guys win?
Yes. So since I'm on Aku's team, he's basically saying how he knew, because in the 3rd and 4th boss fight cutscenes, he kind of tells you like, you've gotten far. I'm kind of getting on I'm suspecting that Uka's up to no good, so you need to protect your crystals. And so now this cutscene is basically, he knows about Uka's plan, is confronting him about it, and he's hiding the crystals. As you can tell right here, he's hiding them so he can't harness the power. And then he's also going to open up a portal beneath this playing board where I guess we were playing on, and he's going to, I don't know where he's going to send Uka to, but he's going to send him away to protect the crystals from evil.
Jeez, get out of here.
And you actually do get a different ending cutscene like this if you play on the evil side, which is basically Uka talking about how he's going to rule the world, and then Aku tells Crash and Coco to run and hide because the Earth is doomed.
Now, just out of curiosity, if you do choose like an evil character, is it a completely different like run category at that point?
It's not a different category. On the leaderboard, you can separate the leaderboards between each character, but one thing to note is if you use an evil character or a good character, like for example, I use Tiny, you're always going to get either Cortex or Brio as a scientist, as player 2, and then you're always going to get Kong and Rilla as an opponent, so no matter who you use. And then if you use like Kong, for example, you're always going to get either Crash or Coco as an opponent, and then you're always going to get Tiny or Dingo. The only character that really changes is either Coco and Crash or Cortex and Brio.
Okay, well thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
that was a really fun run, Elite. Thank you again so much for being on tonight's show. Do you have any shout outs, comments, stream schedule you want to let us know about?
Well, I mean, I'd just like to say thank you for having me. I mean, I've never done an event like this, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, this was, you know, I at one point I forgot I was kind of in this event because I'm just having a lot of fun. You know, it's definitely no stress at all. You know, you're just having a good time. But yeah, I mean, I could shout out a few. I mean, I would shout out some people, but I don't want to forget anyone. But like, I would say, you know, obviously Logic, who is my co-op partner, who I'll be seeing at the end of the month, and you know, best of luck for him and his live speedrun of I Want to Be the Guy. But also, you know, there's like PK and Ty and Cubbies and Eggy, and there's so many different people in the community that are just fun to, you know, to talk with and do. Sometimes we do monthly or somewhat like once a year races where we do, you know, all of us get together and just compete against this game for fun.
Oh, fun, yeah. Well then, with that, I guess I'll let y'all know if you did enjoy the run, make sure you follow our runner. I will post the link in chat. It is it's with a Z, Elite MN, and I hope that you'll be able to tune into a stream soon. I hope I can as well. But we are going to take a short break, my friends. Before we do, a big shout out to all of our supporters. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered here on the GDQ Twitch channel do help support Games Done Quick Hotfix, including with this show Time Capsule. So thank you all so much. And please consider subscribing if you do enjoy your daily dose of GDQ. And if you'd like to be featured as a guest here on Time Capsule specifically, you can use the command !Time Capsule in the Twitch chat and submit your run idea for the show. But with that being said, my friends, we will be right back with Spider-Man 2000, so don't stray too far. All right, everybody, welcome back to Time Capsule right here on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. I'm your host, Smooth Operative, and we are all set up for Spider-Man 2000, so please welcome back second place 92. SP, you want to start off introductions? We have a new commentary guest as well.
Hi, my name is Second Place 92. I'm going to be running Spider-Man 2000 in the no skip, any percent easy category. So no glitches going to be happening in this run.
At least for right now. We may show some things off after the run. So, you know, keep an eye out. And with you, you have In Prison Shadow. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So In Prison Shadow, do you play this speedrun as well?
Yes, I also speedrun this game, and I am in second place, hilariously enough.
Wow, let's go. Well, SP, if you want to give us the rundown, you know, we're ready when you are. Thank you both for being here.
All right. Well, I don't know. I think we are good to go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is the no skip category, but this game is known to be held together with Scotch tape, so some glitches may happen here or there, but not intentionally.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for those unintentional glitches as well.
All right, so do you want me to give a countdown?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, go ahead and give us the countdown.
All right, I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good luck.
You got this, boy.
All right, so this first level is really nothing special. It's pretty short, although it's a pretty heavy reset, as are most intro levels in video game speedruns.
Oh my gosh, yes, the struggle.
Oh, this is looking really good, though.
Whoa, that was a little scary.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this game uses the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 engine, so it's trying to be like this type of game is really finicky, and because of that, like the game is very consistent. Not just like how Spider-Man controls, but just the game in general. A lot of things can happen. And right here, he's gonna do a web dome that'll knock most of the robbers off, and then he'll kill this one. And hopefully, if they all died, okay, that one didn't.
That's the last one.
Sometimes that level will soft lock, and not even if all of them are dead, you have to restart it.
Yeah, they'll fall off, and the game won't even register that they died. Or something you said. Thankfully, that didn't happen though.
do have
So
hostages.
here he has to rescue all the hostages in this level. And these can be annoying too. He's gonna try to hit both of these switches, and this is good because this saves a little bit of time. Every time you hit a switch, there's a cutscene like right here. Spider-Man just kind of standing still. Because he hit the other one while the other one loaded, he was able to skip it, which saves a little bit of time.
Yeah, we used that cutscene overlap trick a few times in the run to save some time.
And here he goes for this very bold hostage rescue. Sometimes they won't all be rescued and then you soft lock too, but second place is very consistent with that. He's using web balls, which are the strongest attack in the game next to web gloves. They pretty much one-shot all of like the baby enemies in the game. And the special moves are done kind of like a fighting game. You have to use either the joystick or the D-pad and then a C button. For web balls, like for example, it's a D-pad up or up on the joystick and then C up.
Big safe.
Yeah, see, we overlap the cutscenes there again too, because otherwise you have to watch the safe open all the way before you can get to hit the switch again.
Been taken care of, but what
Yeah,
can I
that's a
do
big
about the
one
bomb?
there.
I need to put the bomb in a safe place.
Yes, throwing an active bomb is always a good idea.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
And there we go. That was a very good hostage situation.
Not this time, guys.
All right, up next is Race to the Bugle. He's going to have to get there before Scorpion does. If not, Jameson literally dies.
Honestly, I might prefer that sometimes.
Yes. The next boss fight coming up. If you want to, sometimes.
Yeah, Mr. Jameson in the next boss fight is not very nice sometimes. It's not even Scorpion that's the problem, it's Jameson himself.
Here he's doing some pretty cool movement. Hopefully he gets the web swing. He's a little low, but it should be fine. Oh yeah, very nice. Web swing in this game is very janky. He explains more of it later, but there's a lot of things that go into it. And here's the Scorpion fight. So he's going to jump right behind Jameson and then use web gloves. And if Jameson moves to the right spot, which he actually did, wow, this is amazing RNG. This is like the optimal way the fight goes. And he's able to do this jab combo, which does the most damage and just deletes Scorpion's health. That is actually perfect.
Normally, Jameson will run to the other room before he can kill Scorpion, which causes like you to lose like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that is a very reset heavy or time loss heavy boss fight. And yeah, that was really good. It doesn't get much better than that. There's a... I'll go for it.
These next few levels are all pretty much just rooftop chase, very movement heavy.
Yeah, very movement heavy, and Spider-Man can be kind of annoying to deal with sometimes. As I mentioned, the web swing is very awkward at times, so yeah, kind of fighting against the game a lot of it all the time.
And there's plenty of times where you can just get hit with a straight bullet and fall straight out of the sky.
Yeah, sometimes these guys can have crazy aim. He's using a web zip. If you do it at the right time, you could skip climbing up sections of the building. It's really fast. Right here, he does another one, goes up. And then here, the building is actually low enough where he doesn't have to climb. He can just do a zip. If you do a jump, it saves a little bit of time. And there's that section.
Hello? Stealing isn't my style.
This one's kind of the same, not much different, just web swinging through. If you notice, he tends to drop a web swing, like he'll do one and then he'll press A to drop down, and that actually speeds him up a little bit, but it does come at a cost of some height. So you don't want to do it too much, but you also want to do it to go fast, so it's kind of calculated where and when he does it.
Yeah, sometimes Spider-Man just swings wherever he wants and just doesn't swing when he doesn't want to.
Mary Jane was right. I should have stayed home today.
That was a good angle. Nice.
Any time spent not crawling up a wall is good.
Nowhere to go but
It's crawling up a wall is like the slowest thing you can do.
with the shooting already.
Yeah, so this one he's gonna skip this like there's actually like a section where there's like a crosshair and the helicopter shooting at you, but you can actually skip it entirely by doing this movement here, climbing up the girder. And this can be glitchy. Hopefully no shenanigans happen. Good, this looks fine. And yeah, but you can actually skip this little cutscene here, which would be banned to do in this run since we're doing no skips. And it can happen also against your will. Spider-Man can just fall off and not swing, or he'll just get stuck.
If you swing too far past the trigger for that cutscene, he'll just fall to his death during the cutscene.
Yes. Very annoying when it happens. Oh, that was really good, dang.
Now we're coming up to our second boss, Rhino.
Oh boy, Spidey fans, Black Cat is out.
And he didn't troll me, he actually hit the wall.
Yeah, so if second place keeps a good rhythm here, he can, oh, he got jabbed. Keeps a good rhythm, he can actually just unlock Rhino with his punches and dodge his counterattack. As you said, Rhino can troll by not getting stuck in the wall at the start of the fight. I'm not sure why that happens, but yeah, other than that was pretty good.
Yeah, I got hit a couple times. Now this level is interesting because this level you can actually go too fast in soft lock if you're not careful.
I hate
there's
when
actually
that
a few
happens in a speed run. It's like, no, don't punish us for going too fast.
There's actually a few spots. There's a few spots where Venom will like stop and wait for you, and there'll be like a little voice line. So if you get too far ahead of him, then he'll just like not move to the next spot. So you want to like get over here to where he does the voice line, and then wait for him so you don't end up soft locking. And then this third spot's gonna cause a cutscene. If I jump over there before he does, he's just gonna be stuck there.
Oh my goodness!
Get out of my way, nerd! Watch that first step, Mark. It's a doozy.
Ow! Head! Oh, toe, ow!
Look out, lady.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, sorry, lady. Didn't see a thing.
Amazing cutscene.
Probably the best cutscene in the game.
And right there, if you've seen Spider-Man just kind of stick to that wall right after that building section, that's only on PlayStation and PC. I don't know if Dreamcast does it, but I know that happens for whatever reason on those versions of the game. There's a lot of like weird differences between the versions of the game.
Right, I was going to ask about the version differences. So we're playing this here on Nintendo 64, correct?
Yeah.
So how many different versions of this game are there?
Let's see. There's PlayStation, Dreamcast, PC, and Mac, and this.
Oh my goodness, that's a treasure trove of glitches, I'm sure.
So we want to use the web gloves here, and then we just... Venom can spawn in any few random spots, but as long as we get the 3-piece combo on him before he hits us, we're good. Sometimes he trolls you and just punches you anyway, but that was pretty good.
Yeah.
The worst thing is if he grabs you and licks you, and that wastes a lot of time. But now we're in the sewer segment of the speedrun. So a lot of these levels coming up can be pretty trolly.
Looks like the only way across the cavern is swinging to those pipes.
Oh, a fast lane.
Ooh, that was not on purpose.
I'm sorry.
So I used to fight these lizard men with web gloves, but I realized that actually can soft lock you if you kill them too fast. So now I just use the web
It
balls.
seems like there's a lot of soft locks in this game. Does that like really ruin things when you're trying to go for a PB?
Yes, I've lost many a run to these things, but we've pretty much come up with a lot of ways to make sure certain ones don't happen.
Good.
This is one of my favorite levels because it feels really good when you get really fast on these pipes here coming up.
And right here, the game tells you to like Z target and go them one at a time, but you calculate the swings enough and angle them right, you can do that perfectly and save a ton of time. Very scary to do also because Spider-Man can either not swing or go too low and you have to realign, and that ends up losing a little bit of time, but yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. And now we come up to one of the best levels in the game, the auto-scroller.
Yep.
Auto-scroller that actually has some tech to it. Everybody remember to hug your local lizard.
So what's the tech in this auto-scroller, SP?
All right, so basically the load at the end of the level that loads into the next level, if you don't have all these lizard men dead, basically you want to have all the lizard men dead right when it gets that little train on the bottom gets to the end, and then it'll load like really fast. But if you like take too long to kill them, if the level still detects that there's lizards on the train, like it'll take way longer to load, and you can lose like upwards to like 30 seconds.
Oh, I see.
So basically I'm waiting for the little train to get to like the fifth to last like little line on the bar there, and then I'm gonna start killing them, and that gives you pretty much just enough time to kill them. And then also something I found recently by accident, you see how I have the camera angled towards this left wall? For some reason, this reduces lag and saves you like an extra 10 seconds. Because on my last PB, I noticed when I was doing runs, I kept losing like 10 seconds consistently to this split, and I didn't know why. So I watched my PB video, and I saw that I was just so happened to be angling the camera towards this wall. So then I did like 2 like back-to-back attempts and just noticed that literally there was 10-second difference when it got to the part where I started killing the lizards.
That's cool that you picked up on that. Like, yeah, you have to watch the footage back and see what was working. So I gotta ask you, SP, you speedrun a lot of different games. What got you interested in, Spider-Man 2000 specifically?
Pretty much just like most of my speedruns, it was just one of my favorite childhood games, and I just thought, hey, why not try to speedrun it? And it was really fun.
Have you been speedrunning this game for a long time now?
I started speedrunning this game a year ago, and then I took a big break from it, and then I started speedrunning it again like a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's good to take breaks every once in a while.
So now that we got to the 5th bar, now we're gonna start killing them.
So do they like respawn if you kill them too early?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, they like infinitely spawn throughout the level.
Right.
But only right now does you want to concern with killing them. You can see the train has stopped now. And we'll see how long this takes. That was actually not too bad. Wasn't the fastest load, but...
Yeah, if it's like super slow, that bar on the bottom will like disappear completely, and then it'll like sit for like 10 seconds.
Bizarre how that works. All right, so this is probably the longest level in the game, just because there's no real way to go that much faster, just kind of optimizing your movement and trying to not get trolled by these lizard men here. They like to grab you during that cutscene, so hopefully that doesn't happen. You just got to go around and hit all these switches, and it's just like one big circle, pretty much.
Don't you hate it when lizards just spit all over you?
Ew.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to be mashing A here because one of these lizards is going to try to grab me as soon as I'm coming out of this cutscene. Yeah, he grabbed me. Yep. Sometimes he'll grab you, sometimes he won't. I just like mash A to try to jump before he can get me. Same thing here. Okay, he didn't get me that time. And you want to wait before going down here when this water lowers, because if you go too soon, the water will kill you. You know it's lowering.
And if you enter that bottom part with like weird movements, Spider-Man will like have trouble auto pathing to the loading zone to the next level. It's kind of funny.
Feels like trouble's coming.
Hidden switches is pretty standard. Literally just go back and forth and hit them, and that opens the final door.
Yeah, the next level coming up, I'm going to let Shadow explain, because this is probably the worst level in the run.
All right. Yeah, upcoming right here is Tunnel Crawl. This is probably one of the hardest levels to learn when you're just starting out. It's also one of the scariest, because if you die, you lose a lot of time. Here's got to do these web zips, and you have to kind of do them in a particular spot, or else you won't get it. You're on a timer right here because the water does rise again. So he's trying to get all the way across this tunnel here before it can rise again, and he might just make it. He's opting to use the Z target, which I actually haven't seen before, which is cool. Oh,
Yeah, I figured that out recently. That's a good backup.
nice. That was good. You made it, so perfect. Actually, a huge difference on this version of the game, actually. On PlayStation and other versions, the water hitbox is actually very accurate. Like, if you dip a toe into the water, you'll die. But on 64, you could be completely submerged for a second, and you'll still be fine to save yourself.
Oh, wow.
The 64 has like a lot of unique differences from the other versions of the game. I don't know if it's because of like lag, frame rate, whatever, but yeah, a lot of things become easier on 64.
Now, have y'all tried to do speedruns on other versions, or the N64 is just kind of the one you stick to?
Guess again. Ooh, look at the big.
I know Shadow has tried to do PlayStation. I haven't done any others besides this one yet.
Right on, that's fair.
Yeah, I did kind of dip into PlayStation for a little bit, and I was shocked about how much harder that game is to run than 64.
Oh, man.
And a lot of the mechanics also work a little bit differently too. It's very interesting.
Cool. It would honestly be really fun to see something like that side by side, like N64, PS1, and just kind of see some of the differences.
Yeah, at the core, a lot of like the
So
movement
this-
stays ideally the same, but like the route and paths you take will change.
Starting to sweat here, partner.
This level's similar to Tunnel Crawl, where we have to like zip along it. It's kind of scary because the zipping will just happen whenever he feels like it. Basically, there's like almost no consistency to it. But there's a pretty big leeway in how far you can dip into the water before it kills you, so it's not that bad as long as you know to hit the B button fast. Cause see, like right now I'm trying to zip and he's not zipping just because he doesn't feel like it. So I'm just gonna go slow.
Right. He's too tired.
Yeah, if he gets hit by those crusher things, those can do a lot of damage and actually kill him too if he gets it like twice in one hit. So not bad to take your time there.
Yeah, it's nice to keep the spider armor up to this point for this fight with Venom. Yeah, we're gonna be fighting Venom again. This is another fight that can be pretty trolly.
Yeah, Venom 2 is notorious for being really trolly. So here's where he's gonna go to this corner and hopefully, ideally, right, Venom will spawn here all 3 times, and I already know it's not gonna happen. So he's gonna spawn across. You can wait from here though and just punch him. And that's like the second best spawn. That's like the second best outcome. Anything beyond this path that goes across here is really bad. Because you get spawned on the left or right side of the level, and if you don't react perfectly, you can't hit him. So it loses a lot of time. But
All right.
there you go.
Not bad. He didn't grab me either.
Yeah. That is a very good Venom fight. Because our standards can be put so low with how much he trolls. All right, Simbits Invest the Bugle. This level, nothing too special here. At least in the no skips, but it's just movement. He's got to navigate through these air ducts, which can be a little awkward because the camera just kind of does whatever it wants. It tries its best to stay behind you, but yeah, when it tries to make turns, it kind of loses control.
So is it all like auto camera stuff? Like you don't get to adjust it yourself?
From the basement.
Oh no, you can. I use the Z button, put the camera behind me a lot.
Oh, okay. So you're like constantly adjusting.
Yeah.
Right on.
So this is kind of like another auto scroller. We have to wait for this elevator to go down before we can do anything.
Do we get the elevator music? Oh, some kind of elevator music for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a sinister elevator music. Yeah, then we go in here, hit the switch to get the elevator moving again.
This music is kind of crazy. I can imagine being in an elevator listening to it. All right, and you hit the switch to continue the level, and now he's just gonna wait for it to break one more time. And there you go. We may show some crazy stuff with that level after this run. But here's the printing press room. This level, ooh, a little scary. You can die, soft block as well, things that can go wrong. The web ball can target, yeah, the symbiote. So you're kind of fighting a lot of the game here. Okay, our goal is to hit all of these machines. You just do one web ball and it destroys it. You're gonna go up here, there's another one.
Bet there are more downstairs.
And then that's it.
I almost got crushed by a giant toilet paper roll.
Yeah, very fast level. Really fun.
Now, this level is the showcase, the glitch showcase afterwards. This is going to be the most interesting level we show for sure. Oh, that never happens. But I'm okay.
There's always got to be one of those moments.
Just a little burnt spider. We're fine.
I'm actually surprised you got out of that. That was crazy.
I know. He usually gets stuck there. Maybe it's because I have the armor. I don't know.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, if you fall in like that, normally you kind of just get stun locked and die. So that was really clutch that he got out of there. All right, and Among Us meme.
Among Us.
The imposter.
They always run. That's the guy who framed me, and the one who stole the technology.
All right, next boss fight coming up. The imposter was Mysterio all along.
Oh, it's like self versus self over here.
Yeah, and in this fight he just goes up and hits all of the conduits. As Spider-Man just said, he kind of explains how to beat him. The thing we're trying to watch out for are his attacks, like this grab right here. You're gonna dodge it. If he grabs you, it's just insulting because he just grabs you, looks at you, and then throws you down. Loses so much time if it happens. But yeah, here he's gonna go for. I don't think he's gonna. Okay, yeah, he goes for the jump. If you stand in like the right spot, you can dodge his grab. Like it'll just miss, and then you have like the one cycle. A fine fight though. Nothing catastrophic happening. Always gotta love it.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite levels to do in no skip.
Looks like I'll have to clean these.
So normally these generators, they're stronger than the ones in the other levels. So you have to hit them like both the things on the side like once each with a web ball. But if you go in the middle of them and do a web dome, it just insta kills the whole thing. This is one of the only levels I actually use the D-pad to move just to make the web dome more consistent. Because sometimes with the web attacks are a little inconsistent when you use the stick. And I didn't get fully inside there, so I had to do 2 web domes. Now I go back to using the stick. Now the web things are all destroyed.
An enormous ventilation shaft. There must be something big down there. Spider sense tingling. Looks like this is it.
It was not the cleanest movement, but we're in there. This level can be a little trolly. It's pretty straightforward. You're just going across this bridge. This level is actually really interesting on hard mode because this bridge is just gone and you have to swing across just the platforms with the lasers on them. But these lasers can hit you for some pretty big damage if they happen to spot you.
I'm getting a feeling somebody doesn't want me.
Yeah, that one right there. You saw it like hit the wall. Yeah, it likes to kind of get you pretty bad.
Must be enormous. I thought crime fixed it.
And like because of the bridge going up, it's kind of hard to like just web swing consistently. So you kind of just gotta do it when you can. And of course, yeah, he
by
gets
the laser. I'm gonna grab this web cartridge just in case. You want to have enough web cartridges for the next 2 bosses.
All right, now for saving Black Cat, he's just gonna go around the room and hit all these switches. Pretty simple stuff, but the movement can be kind of awkward. And these symbiotes can also hit him too. Hopefully nothing bad
In the
happens.
right direction, but not enough pressure. Almost. Psychic is ready to blow.
Alright, this is the only cutscene in the game that for some reason you can't skip.
Yeah, I guess like one of the Hail Marys is gonna be to find a way to skip this ending sequence here.
Hey, what else is a Spider-Man?
Now, are there a lot of community members that have been trying to find a skip for that for a while?
You got it. I'll be back.
This one in particular, I'm not sure. I know that you can clip through this door right here that he's walking through, but there's no loading zone there, so.
Oh, I gotcha.
You will never get past my barrier, Spider-Man.
Alright, now we got Dr. Octopus.
We need to find some way to draw power away
The
from
big
This
boy
fight
right
can be
here.
this fight can be pretty technical because if you miss the 1 cycle, you're gonna be losing like 40 seconds.
Yeah, so he's gonna hit these switches, which will eventually raise the the ray shield he's got protecting him, and then he's gonna have to do a not a very precise combo, but just the combo we've been doing, and then a web dome, and it's kind of dependent on his positioning and Doc Ock's previous animation that he uses before the shield goes up. Because if something like that goes wrong, he's gonna wait here for him to attack first, and then he's gonna activate it. And he does that so if Doc Ock attacks as you hit the switch, then you won't have enough time to actually do the combo because the shield will come back up faster.
That's a sonic bubbling.
And then Carnage, he just does a kick to get to him, and then does a grab, and then he'll just stun lock him in here with web balls. A little awkward of a position, but there he goes. Oh, he got out. Oh, no! All right, he's going to have to get him back in there. Yeah, he's trying to line himself up so he can
There
do
we
these
go.
web balls to do more damage. So it's
Always
completely
gotta be one
obliterates
hiccup.
himself. Yeah. But that wasn't too bad. Usually Carnage can kind of like slap you and be
Yeah.
annoying, but that was a good recovery.
That could have been much worse. And now we come to the most anxiety-inducing level in all of video game history.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, both
Even-
second place and I have lost very good pace runs on this final escape here. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, very tense. A lot of optimizations have also been made. Like, we've both gotten really good at this escape. It's very technical because he has to have the path memorized through all these hallways to know when to do like this jump swing and then just do a web zip like that. And then the less walls he sticks to is also very important too. It saves his time. Like he does a zip and then cancels it and then does like a web swing out of it. So it's very technical. Doesn't look like much, but it's very hard to do, especially with the controls in this game. And
Especially when you have this guy right behind you the whole time.
yeah, Monster Rock has rubber band AI and it's dialed up to like 11 here. He'll almost always be right behind you. Even if you look like you can leave him, he'll just find a way to appear. Like these long sections, he just zips through everything really fast. And near the end of it, like on the last 2 hallways, it's a little absurd because that's where it can kill you if you mess up the movement just a little bit.
Level 3. 2 more to go. Pressure's really building.
Like even on PC where there's less lag and you're free to fly faster through these levels, Monster Truck still ends up being like right behind the player.
Down my neck. Back off.
Oh, nice. That was a good swing out of it. Yeah, these next hallways are a little sketchy here.
Level 1. On the home stretch.
Okay, got around that part. And then these doors can also be awkward, like the pathing with web swing gets kind of messed up, but that was really good. Wow.
And that's time.
Oh my goodness. That was incredible, SP. Do you know how close you were to your world record run?
Probably very.
You were like a pretty good run. Incredibly close.
What was the time?
The timer is having some problems right now, but it was like 31:10 or 31:11. It was really close.
It looked like a tie, I think.
I was gonna say, like, I'm when I messed up Carnage, I was like, this is gonna cost me world record, isn't it? Because I was really good all the way around that run.
Oh my goodness.
Completely absurd.
That is intense at the end there. Like, how do you keep your cool? Because wow.
No GDQ world record today, but that's okay.
Listen, you know what? You put in a solid effort out there. That was awesome.
If you retime it, it might be really close, I think.
Yeah, we might could retime it because the timer got away from us a little bit, so we might have to actually go back in and look at it. But it looked to me like it was just like a second off. But SP, did you want to show off a little bit of the glitches for the regular run? Because I know you were having a hard time choosing which category to show off.
Yeah, let's go back into the levels and let's show off some glitches. Look. So there's a handful of levels in this game that we, in the any percent category, we use like certain out of bounds glitches to skip through. First one of those would be the bank approach level here, or not the bank approach.
I'm ready to see how you can break the game. Let's go.
Hostage situation. So basically, as soon as this level starts, you just want to be mashing A and B if I can get it.
Well, I hope
no, sometimes it doesn't work, but you basically want to be mashing A and B so you can get into the ceiling.
Well, I hope they don't.
Yeah, this is one of those version differences here. 64, you have to do this weird mashing strat, but on PlayStation, other ones, you can just jump through the wall.
Yeah, so now we're out of bounds. Now we just save the hostage here. Hit this guy to save the hostage. Go over this door. You don't want to go too far to the right there. You're going to despawn those guys. And yeah, so we skip like most of the level by doing that.
Going down.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
So there's a glitch in this level too. It's basically just a really short clip, but I'll show it anyway. So you don't have to save any of the hostages here, because you can just go right up to this door here and clip right through it, just like that.
The hostages will be fine, everybody. It's fine.
And then the safe door just doesn't exist when you go out of bounds, so you don't even have to like open it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like unloaded, or it starts open, so saves time too.
The robbers have been taken care of, but what can I do about the bomb? I need to put the bomb in a safe place.
Oh, thank you, Spider-Man.
And you can also just throw. I was trying to throw the bomb out of bounds, but and then you just soft lock.
You know, you could do that. That's hilarious.
And so after those two levels, there's pretty much just a big stretch of levels that don't have any skips up until the level right after the auto scroller.
So I imagine there's not a huge time difference then in the categories, huh?
Now.
It's like a couple minutes.
Couple minutes, okay.
Yeah,
see,
how
this
much
is the level.
he's pushed no skips. The time has changed a lot.
This is the level that Shadow said earlier was like one of the longest in the run. So if you just aim right in between this little cage door here, now it didn't work there. But
yeah, if you watch the little cursor or crosshair kind of like move a very slight bit when he's aiming, you'll see it kind of moves in like that.
There we go.
Then you know you're good to go.
Clip
Then
right
you can just
through
go
the door.
hit the switch.
Then you're free.
Yep, saves a lot of time because that level's ridiculously long.
Yeah.
And then this level, which was already one of the shortest ones, is even shorter.
That's it. That's the whole level.
Just falling into the abyss.
Actually, I'm gonna die here on purpose because my web cartridges are like at 0. So I want to I want to recharge those. Whoa, that's a weird death.
This game breaks even when you game over. Oh yeah, that hidden switches level. There's like 5 different ways to clip through the wall and go to that loading zone. And here, he's gonna use what's called the web dome glitch, which is absurd. You'll see it when it happens. I won't spoil it just yet, but I actually worked ways around this because I know that the TAS was doing this strat, and I wanted to try to find a way to do it viable in runs. I actually found a decent way to make it somewhat consistent because it's a really hard glitch.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do here. We are gonna basically what happens with the web dome. When you go off a ledge and use the web dome at the same time, you just fly up into the sky. So we're gonna use that to go out of bounds here and get to the loading zone.
Yeah, he's got to time it built like perfectly. He got it.
And there we go.
You can't visibly see how high he goes, but he goes really high.
Oh no! Oh, there we go.
You're good. You're good.
No, wait, no, I'm not. Oh my god! Where's the loading zone? Well, the next level was supposed to start, but now I'm just dead.
We could see the vision.
Yeah. Just he got through.
All right. Lizard's Maze. That's the next one. So yeah, this one we get to skip a pretty big portion of this tunnel maze. That was a really long zip.
Oh, nice. Now you're getting them. And yeah, so instead of going through the long stretch of the maze here, he's going to go to this dead end on purpose. He's going to clip into the side of the wall, then aim upwards, and he's able to swing out of bounds into this into the back half of it, and this is the loading zone at the end of the level, conveniently. He just cuts through the whole maze.
It's so wild to see the glitches, like after watching the, no skips run. It's really cool.
Oops.
Yeah, these all like they're all conveniently on the longer levels too, for the most part.
Yeah, that is nice.
So there is a glitch on the out of bounds thing in the Symbiotes Infest the Bugle level, but it's not viable on N64. It's like every other version you can do it, but not this one.
Ah, that's okay. No worries. But now we know.
But
yeah, we got the web dome glitch, and they got that.
But this elevator one is pretty simple too. You basically just have to stick to the wall here, and then just aim up. And as soon as it turns green, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah, this is like the new method too. It's recently found.
Oh, how recent?
Like a month or two ago, if that.
I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, then we just fall through the whole level.
Yeah, you can ride out of bounds until you get to the last little section. Go.
That's cool.
Now,
You don't have to wait through the elevator.
Yeah, big time save there.
So we break those two ones normally. Now we skip the other symbiote machines and just go right over here.
And he's gonna close the door on purpose. And he's gonna just kind of zip up out of bounds until the loading zone.
Okay, so this is the level where if anybody in chat is sensitive to flashing lights or anything like that, you might want to look away for a bit.
Yes.
Because this level, the out of bounds in this level gets a little crazy.
The basement of the Daily Bugle. Whoever's controlling the generators has got to be.
This is also, like, in my opinion, one of the hardest skips in the game too.
All right, so now we're out of bounds. And as you can see, the out of bounds is really crazy. This is only on N64 that the out of bounds looks like this for some reason.
Yeah, so now he's gonna jump and try to web swing to the other end of the hallway. And he's got to be very careful because if he goes too high or too low, he can't recover.
Yeah, this is very precise. But luckily, if I go too low, it just pops me right back to where I started, so I can just keep trying. Not giving me the right thing here. Try not to. Oh, that was good,
Almost. Oh, this looks good.
Oh my god.
It looks good, but I mean, you can't even see.
This is wild. What kind of a visual are you looking for here?
I'm just trying not to go. You can't go too low or too high.
Okay.
Because you don't want to go in bounds too early, and you also don't want to go too low to where it doesn't let you swing.
Yeah, he's trying to swing at least 3 times.
Oh my god.
He gets the second one, and that's the one where you kind of have to adjust and then either go higher or lower depending on how you're swinging. And that's like the hard part because you cannot see anything that's going on here.
I got this first try when I was practicing before the stream.
Isn't that the way?
Okay, I'm good. I got far enough.
Oh, nice.
So now we can go over here, and then we just go right around here, and there we go.
That's the guy who framed me.
That's the guy who framed me.
Alright, so now there's 1 or 2 more glitches.
Yeah, sure thing.
This waterfront. Is there one? Alright, so this one is actually really cool. This one has been through like tons and tons of different like methods and optimizations that have gone through it. And thankfully, the one that we're at is probably the easiest one and the fastest. But he's gonna clip through this wall, jump to this out of bounds section. And now you'll see that there's like spinning fans, and he's gonna wait till 1, 2, 3, 4 pass, and he's gonna let go of holding forward. And that ends the level.
Yeah, there we go.
Very nice.
And now I'm going to show off one more that actually isn't used in any percent. This is actually used in the all comics category, because there's a comic book like right underneath here that you have to like go near the end of the level, hit a switch, and it opens a door. But if I can actually, do I even remember how to do this? I haven't done all comics in a while. Yep, there we go. Oh, wait, maybe not. I think I went too far. If I'm correct, I think you're the one that found this trick shadow, right?
Yeah. Once I saw that the comic was very possible to yeah, you do that web swing and you kind of look like you get through, but not quite. I had to continue messing with it, and miraculously enough, you just could land down there.
There we go.
And it does save like close to maybe a minute or 2.
I grabbed it before you saw it, but yeah, there was a comic book down here that I grabbed. That this door usually there's a switch to open it like near the end of the level. You have to come all the way back to get it. But yeah,
nice. Well, thank you so much.
That's pretty much it.
Thanks for showing that off, SP. Always fun to check out Spider-Man, and I'm glad that y'all were able to be on the show tonight. So thank you so much. Do you have any shout-outs, comments, stream schedule? What you got?
I just want to give a thanks to everybody in my community that showed up to the stream. Of course, love all you guys, and of course, shout out to Imprisoned Shadow, because most of the stuff I learned from this game, I learned from him.
Oh,
so.
Nice.
Wii U.
Well, my friends, that is going to wrap it up for tonight's episode of Time Capsule. I have been your host, Smooth Operative. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the run, make sure you follow our runner at twitch.tv/secondplace92, as well as our commentator, that's Imprisoned Shadow. And I will post those links here in the chat so that you can do that. But yeah, tune in tomorrow for How to Train a Speedrunner, followed by Speedruns from the Crypt, and that all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you enjoyed the show tonight and want to spend a little extra time kicking it with me, make sure you stop by my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/smoothoperative. I hope you all have a beautiful day or night, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.